All right, gentlemen. Fourth Wiseman had some fun in the chat tonight, so bear with me. He's got a lot to say. He says, here is for your socialism, but here's your capitalism, and here's your benefit, and here's your taxable liability. Here's your profit margin. Here's it all combined, rotationally circulated, and here's some food grown and harvested, ready to consume, and here's how it's all supposed to be used, not glutinous consumerism. Here's your investment, call it whatever you like, capitalism, etc., but plant the investment and allow it to grow. And then I think this one came a little bit late. Nope, this one is added on to it. I'd be more inclined to think of it as a majority have no idea how to budget properly, whom lose track of finances, then get complacent, then collapse. Whose fault? Your own. Anybody have any thoughts to what Fourth Wiseman has said so far?
He probably needs a fifth Wiseman to help him out. The
last one. The last one makes a lot of sense. Like, okay, so I'll use Modi as an example. We all know Modi here. He's like basically lives off his streaming, so he don't make a lot of money. But he's figured out, hey, if I don't make a lot of money, I got to look forward to my future somehow. So what has he done? He started investing. There you go. That's Modi. So he started investing. Now he's got money in the S&P. Now he's got money in some other stock. He's talking about long-term gains, paying dividends. Like this, guess what? He is democratizing his fucking money by fucking spend it in a capitalist system. Like it's everything that they want, but it's actually under capitalism, not under socialism. Like what he's doing is embracing the capitalism to look forward to himself. And this is something anybody can do. You spend $7 at a time or $10 at a time, and over time it adds up, But hey, it's those that don't want to actually invest or take time to look into it and work hard that think that we should pay for all their sins. That's who's advocating for this. You're right, wise man.
Anybody else? All right. Caledonian says with a big 10, says Gibbs is wrong. Socialism has existed for decades in the top 5 economies in the world, including the UK, US, and EU. If it fails every time, why is our social and economic systems still largest?
Yeah, those would be considered welfare capitalism situations in those. And just because you have something that could be considered socialist doesn't make it socialist. These are just safety nets that a country as rich as we are, and the Nordic countries and the EU and all of them can do. Also, the EU is able to fucking provide some of these safety nets because they don't have to provide for the military because the US has been doing it for years. So I guess socialism by proxy of America's goated capitalist power. Even then, still can't work without capitalism. So
I'm not sure how capitalism works if it requires safety nets.
It doesn't require it, but different versions of it have it. Yeah, it's allowed.
Yeah, because you were going to let somebody die in the streets, if I remember correctly, Gibbs.
Absolutely.
Let her die. It's her own fault. Yeah, that's why we have to have.
Well,
that's why capitalism requires safety nets.
To be fair, if you just change the definition of capitalism,
that makes socialism.
It will make things a lot easier. I just throw the word pseudo. If I just throw the word pseudo in there, it's a catch-all. So you can never be wrong.
If we
pseudo,
right.
To be fair, Gibbs, you've been pseudo right and pseudo wrong all night.
Yeah, I mean that's not what we did though, and I know you're confused. I clearly laid out definitions of these things.
I'm
for
not confused, dude. You
it's
said
not,
the Roman Empire
it's not
was capitalist.
pseudo. No, I said they were proto-capitalists. Once again, proto-capitalist.
Sorry, you're proto.
Not
I was proto wrong.
Not
I was
pseudo.
proto wrong.
Wrong. You're all wrong. You've evolved 100% wrong.
No,
there's no proto wrong.
I'm apologizing. I was
you
proto
do know
wrong.
the
I was
proto
wrong.
And
look, he's evolving.
You know what proto means?
I'm
sorry.
He's
like, I don't think he does because
pseudo
and proto
wrong.
don't mean the same thing.
I was proto wrong.
Means the precursor, right? Like that's what it means. It's not an outright rejection, right?
It would be that would be before the Industrial Revolution.
Why are we switching?
So
anything that's happened since the Industrial Revolution is no longer proto. Is that correct?
Well, there are proto-capitalist countries during the Industrial.
Well, then you're going against the definition, sir.
Hold on,
you're going against the definition.
There are governments today that are proto-capitalists that haven't reached full capitalism.
I'd argue they're proto-socialists.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Everything.
Proto-socialist.
This is what you don't understand.
The entire planet
Socialism is a
the entire
rejection
planet
of
is
capitalism.
proto-socialism right now. The entire planet is proto-socialism.
You do
If it's
understand.
proto-socialism, that means it's not socialism yet, right?
That means that we're moving towards
That means
socialism
it's a different
everywhere.
system. It's a different
That means
system
we're moving
still,
towards
right?
socialism
We're
everywhere.
constantly
So if
evolving.
it's proto-socialism,
Because
that means
socialism is
it's
rejection
still
of the
the
system.
previous system, meaning it's still capitalist right now, right?
Yeah. So you lose again. Like it's just like
We're just going to change definitions. Let's just keep going, man.
No, we're just doing your definitions. If we use your definitions, you lose. If we use our definitions, we win bigger.
What'd you put in that hookah, man?
Nothing good. I wish I'd had something better. It's just tobacco.
Hold on. My boy is
I talk fast,
backstage.
baby. I know this is your first time in like a high level debate, but
high level.
Guys,
oh my God! Thank you. Thank you for blessing me with your presence.
Hey, I've won 2
Gibbs
debate
being the high level debater.
Yeah, but I mean, your argument was I don't have to
Gibbs?
address a point because I think it's wrong.
Gibbs, are you a high level
Like that's
man?
great debate skill, bro. Good way.
I want non-fan up here. What do we have to do? Let's get to these super chats.
Yeah, non-Fon's hanging out backstage. He's waiting patiently.
Yeah,
all right.
I talked about non-fon, so that's a perfect person.
Yeah, non-Fon, you got called out back there. Hello. James with the Big 10 says halfway there we can do it. Yes, and actually you only owe 2 more dono goals for full gauntlet mode. Otherwise we shut down after the Q&A. I want gauntlet mode. I don't know about you, especially with these 4 on screen. Fourth Wiseman throws in another 10, says, and how did all this come about regarding overthrown systems? Interest on a fictional monetary system itself. Any thoughts? You're muted, Tyler.
I was talking to chat. Sorry. Yeah.
I don't understand the question.
It's a statement. Or, well, it's a, yeah. And how did all of this come about regarding overthrown systems? Interest on a fictional monetary system itself.
Is this a libertarian saying money isn't real?
Yeah, that's what I got off of it as well. Can we all agree libertarians are ick?
Yeah.
All right.
The funny thing is, though, I'll say this. Anybody that doesn't support the Trump administration all of a sudden is a libertarian. It's funny.
They're ick. That's what it means. Ick.
Hold on. Trump is like allies with libertarian like governments. Like what's his name in fucking
I promise you, I talk to libertarians every day. They all voted for Trump. And as soon as they started becoming critical of Trump, they donned on their libertarian hat and been like, I've been a libertarian the whole time.
Oh, I know plenty of libertarians that are still pro-Trump. So, I mean, I don't know.
Mm.
You know.
We have a lot of them around these parts. All right. Or at least they may not like him, but they like the policies. All right. Coming in over on the coffee app, James in the chat sends a big 50 and says credit towards this goal if you choose to do so. And on that mark, because James sent that over the Buy Me a Coffee, yes, send money on the Buy Me a Coffee and a new emoji gets its wings. So now you have the new dues emoji in the chat. Enjoy it. Plumpy sent out another Raging Tomato membership. Shout out to the lucky lottery winner over there, the gift that keeps on giving. Fourth Wiseman says with the Big 10, Gibbs, you shall find the former USSR collapse due to U.S. Middle East invasions. So saying other systems don't work is incorrect, for they do. Russia has legitimate contracts to mine Afghanistan. Gibbs, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, guess what? If their military had been so much more advanced due to fucking their technology advancing under communist USR or socialist USR, or whatever one you would have put them under, then they would have been able to give these people better weapons to beat us. But instead, what happened is just like what happened in Venezuela. We came in, we Vinny Vici'd, and we whooped their ass. We took all the shit. And guess what? You know why? Because capitalism works and communism can't compete. Yeah. And they have to use capitalist shit to do everything, right? Like, look at their tanks. They copied the American tanks. And then when we finally went up to each other, our Bradleys, which are outdated system, are dominating their top tier 5th generation tanks. Like, it's pathetic all around. I think it's clear which system works at every level.
Overthrew everything in Venezuela, right?
Did we win in Afghanistan?
I would say...
The military,
no. I mean, if you mean from like a long-term standpoint, probably not. However, from like literally beating the Taliban and winning the war, yeah, the KD ratio is like 1 to 1,000,000, and we were there occupied for 20 years, and then we left when we chose to leave. That's like not a loss.
Who's in charge right now?
I mean, yeah, I would argue the Taliban has been able to come back in power in the Afghani government.
We went in to overthrow the Taliban, and then we left with them in charge.
So
big win.
Is that your definition of winning a war is completely wiping out every single member of a religious group?
That's crazy. I mean, we're not talking about genocide to win, bro.
Genocide them, it's not a win.
If we're making up definitions,
how very national socialist of you.
You claimed that we overthrew Venezuela, but we left their vice president in charge. So is that overthrowing them or leaving their fucking?
Yeah, she works for us now. She's our bitch. That's overthrowing.
I understand you guys love to remake fucking definitions, but you can't. We did not win.
We didn't remake them.
It's a proto win. Hold on, it's a proto win. I'm telling you, it's a proto win.
I'm sorry, you're absolutely right.
Proto win. No, it's a full on win.
All right. James says, sure, elites exploit people under capitalist systems, and then proposed solutions is democratic control. I've seen democratic solutions fuck people over too. So how does democratic control solve things?
If that government this is probably for me, if that government that you elected fucks people over within a democratic system, you can vote them out. If you didn't have the opportunity to vote them out, you would be fucked either way.
Well, they generally need each other. Like capitalist system, like there's going to be like bad bosses, greedy bosses, people that do certain things. Having a regulatory body there to make sure a worker isn't abused, their contract law isn't violated. Like a fundamental basis of capitalism is that contract law. And I would argue a lot of these policies that we have for like OSHA, which the worker has to provide, or the owner has to provide PPE and a safe working environment, things like that. I'd argue these are an extension of that idea in the first place. So I think
because capitalism is bad in the first place.
No, capitalism has these features built into it. As you said, a union.
The features of taking advantage of workers.
Forming a union is a capitalist policy, as you said during the debate when I was asking you about unions.
I said it's a move towards socialism.
You said it was a capitalist. I asked though, is it a socialist policy or capitalist policy?
And a capitalist system.
You did say that, but then I asked you, is it a socialist or capitalist policy? And you said because the nation is mostly capitalist, it's still a capitalist policy.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said. I said it's a move towards socialism and a capitalist system.
That's not where you ended.
We are Barbie girls living in a Barbie world. I told you that.
Yeah, you changed your mind a lot during the debate, but
I haven't changed my mind on anything. I've been arguing this forever.
Can I ask at what point do I get like the little Malibu car? Like, does that come soon or?
Well, in a capitalist system, you're going to have to suffer and buy it.
Ah, damn.
You're gonna have to exploit somebody
last
if you want
one,
that.
and then we got a great panel hanging out backstage ready to come up and ask you more questions and call you all idiots. Seth, coming in with the Big Ten, says, do Tyler and Gibbs believe that capitalism is the end of economic history, or do they believe that the worldwide economic system will eventually evolve into something else?
Yeah, you want to go first? I can take this.
I got a quick one. When is there going to be to the point where we cannot innovate any further? And if we can't, there's always going to be that space. But once we have automation in place to like be the worker for us, I think we are going to have to transition to a different economic system.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is important, especially in regards to space shuttle. If you remember, I had this kind of a little bit of a teaser for this topic when I was talking with Angry Man about a space exploration. All right, there's definitely going to be different kinds of capitalism develop. I think corporatism is going to develop. We're going to see something where they maybe mine Ceres, and you have like a country like Exxon. Exxon basically is the de facto country mining Ceres, and they're going to have some sort of free market that allows other companies to work in, or it's kind of like almost like a red faction, but it's a corporate thing, like ultra capitalism or something along that, or corporatism. I think we'll have that. I think that'll change again if we ever get faster light travel. Then we're going to go back to more traditional forms of capitalism, as opposed to what I think we'll see with the like sleeper ships and the closest to what we have with like colonization of these companies. I think it's going to be very much more like the East India colonization model, but with modern access, like corporate like interest driving colonization. So yeah, I do think it's going to change dramatically over time, and I think it's going to be very interesting because every time technology changes, political systems change. Like oil is now super important, and whaling has gone the way of the dinosaur. So I think this is kind of interesting to look forward to going forward.
All right. I'm glad you said that because you were so scared to say that economic systems have changed over time.
That's the whole point of proto. Oh my God! Do you know the difference between pseudo and proto?
I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you.
You know, okay, I've been saying that the economic system has changed the whole time. That's the whole point of the word proto, is it evolves into something else. And there's a difference between that and pseudo, which is what you kept trying to use. I know that this is why I said proto-capitalist. Then I listed how Rome was not fully capitalist. And those traits align more with a socialist system, which is a rejection of capitalist and proto-capitalist values. Do you understand the difference and why that is relevant to this debate?
So as the economic system changes, are you just going to say that that's just whatever that is? You're going to give it the name proto?
Capitalism. You just ignored your question.
Let me make my point.
He asked you a question. Answer the question.
I haven't even made my fucking point yet.
Okay, that's because he asked you a question.
No economic system is eternal. No economic system is eternal, right? No economic system is eternal. At the time, feudalism looked pretty permanent. Did it not? Right now, capitalism looks pretty permanent, but it's going to evolve. It absolutely is going to evolve. Monarchy looked like the system that was going to be natural until it wasn't. Slavery was defended economically as something to be economically necessary, but it's not, right? Until it was abolished. Capitalism is historical as well. It will evolve. It has a beginning. It had a beginning. It's changed over time, and it will continue to evolve into something more democratic, or it's going to decay. I'm advocating for the democratic side of it, and the democratic evolution of it is to have the fucking labor be owned by the workers that actually produce that fucking labor. That is the entire point.
Capitalism is proto-socialism.
Oh, all right. Well, gentlemen, would you like to meet your panel? They are all waiting patiently backstage to come on and talk to you. I'm super excited. All right, here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me do a little mix up, shuffle up, and give the dog a bone here. I've got everybody moved over everywhere. What happened there? Okay. All right. Welcome, new panelists, to our Q&A portion of the debate, where you get to each one at a time ask your, one or two questions to any of the panelists on the top floor here with me. It will be respectful. It will be a nice general exchange of concepts, whether you have comments or questions, either direction, and we'll go from there. Mr. Balderson, first in line. Let's go ahead and start with you, if you'd like.
I don't know if I'm even ready for that. That's a first. Holy smoke, I'm always last.
Yeah, it's on the 2v2s though. You'll always end up first.
That's because Tyler with his Jew symbol invaded my land and took it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I personally, especially in today's extraordinary tax system, the only meaningful difference that I can see between socialism and capitalism is that the government in our capitalist society takes none of the risk but all the reward. So they aren't there to back up anything. I don't know that I can functionally see a difference at this point in our systems.
Yeah, Tyler, you're muted unless you're.
Were you asking me?
Mm-mm. No, that was for everybody. It wasn't for you in specific. I was just giving you shit about being in my spot.
Oh, okay. You're essentially saying that the systems are kind of converging to all be one thing. I disagree with that. I think that we've always had this social contract in place with capitalism's instantiation in the United States of free enterprise, and a lot of these regulations put in place and things like that, worker protections, unemployment protections, things to help the worker, are an extension of that just legislated because that's what the people wanted. So I wouldn't say necessarily it means they're blending. We still have central economy versus planned economy. We still have equitable distribution versus just maybe some redistribution through taxes, but generally you get to keep a vast majority of what you actually make and produce. So I'd argue the systems are vastly different.
You don't get to keep the vast majority of what you make and produce. That's just factually wrong. Or apparently you don't pay a lot of you don't pay taxes or something. I don't know.
Maybe if you live in California.
When they take away such a giant portion, like let's remember where the country started, and that was single digit percentages, and the people didn't vote for all these programs. Something that FDR wrote through with his pen, being the president, FDR being the president that by far and away had the most executive orders, damn near 4,000 is what
I agree. Terrible. He did bad. He didn't lead us out of the Great Depression. World War II did. You're absolutely correct. Like, yeah, and you know what funded that? Capitalism. You know, Rosie the Riveter building products that we needed. Our logistics chain. You know what? We can drop a Burger King in any country. We have a military base in 24 hours. You know why? Capitalism, baby. Like our troops are better fed because why? Capitalism. Our people are bigger than other people. Not just fatter. Yeah, we have a little bit of fat problem. But guess what? We're still bigger militarily. We average about 6 inches on the average person we come fight. And guess what? Size matters in hand-to-hand combat. Like, whoopings all around. All this is due to capitalism. I agree that we're getting taxed too much, especially if you live in California where they're trying to turn it into a socialist state. But here in Texas, we're paying way less in taxes than you are. And I just like, I feel like I understand where you're coming from. And we can use California as an example. When they go more socialist, it turns bad to the point where it's not even capitalist anymore because they try to plan it and everything fails. Look at the fucking.
Well, it's not even actually socialism either, is where my problem is. I don't care for socialism, but this isn't socialism because in socialism, the government owns the means, the people own the means of production. So the whole system gets taken care of. If it starts failing, the same system that is going to repair that. Where in our tax system, I get my money taken no matter what. And if what I'm doing asses out, they don't care because the system is owned by me. So they're just straight stealing from me is all that's going on.
Well, I think first of all, I think very
hold on.
people...
Sorry. I didn't say this at the beginning. I apologize, non-fun. Everyone else on the bottom is staying muted. It's only just Balderson right now. We're going one at a time. My apologies. That was on me. I didn't say it. Anyone else on the top have anything else to say to Mr. Balderson?
I mean, again, what I was arguing for is, Balderson, we live in a democratic society. If you don't like where your taxes are going, then vote for people that are going to advocate for where you do like your taxes to go. I understand that we have a broken system. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to advocate for more of the same of what we have right now, but only within a democratic system can you actually change your leadership. It's not an authoritative leadership. You have the democratic right to change it. And within a democracy, you can advocate for the majority. You can have campaigns that'll tell you we should vote for this person because they're going to change the way that our taxes are being spent, right? If you have an authoritative system, you want to have that right.
Well, weirdly, we voted for, like our current presidency, the economy was one of his planks that he ran on. He's currently shitting the entire economy down the tubes, and in the last couple of days has been quoted on the TV where he's recorded saying he doesn't give a shit. So, and guess what? Historically, we've always wanted to keep our own money. No matter who we vote for, it goes away. Actually, I would prefer we were in an authoritarian system with a singular or small group of leaders because then we could get rid of them fuckers. Instead, we got to deal with the dumbasses on the right and the far right and left, which uphold a system that doesn't work for anybody.
Well, I'm not sure how you can blame Donald Trump for this. I mean, we don't live in a central economy, economy,
Trump,
right?
Because of the taking us to war with Iran.
Yeah, this is directly at you guys.
That was like a double for him. He's like, no new wars, and I'm fixing the economy. He's like, yeah, but I like forever wars. I loved being on these panels when everybody was telling me that was only going to last a week or a couple days. Love forever wars. Fuck your economy. That's
to be clear. I hope the war lasts longer. Personally,
guess what? I got something to say to Balderson now. Guess what?
Last thought, and then we'll move on.
That war started on October 7th when Iran and 6 of its proxies attacked Israel in 2023. It's been going on since. Israel's been fighting it since.
Hold on, Dad, I can't hear him.
Oh God!
Yeah, stop fake laughing.
We've all heard the dumb Jew.
Can you spare us the hyena veto?
Yeah,
hold on.
We've all heard it. We know what Israel does. We all do.
No,
Everybody knows. You can pretend they don't.
This is just tiny head conspiracy.
Yeah, we know what they do. They win wars. That's not what they do.
They win wars like Chad. They don't hide like weak men that stare at their cell phones. They're Daniel Penny on the world stage.
Did it just come out that they still have most of their missiles and they're raring to go to war? How many times has Trump said we won this war? Fuck, I thought we won it before it began.
And this sounds like a good. Hold on. This sounds like a good one for the gauntlet. The chat has purchased your gauntlet time. We will get there. So let's put a pin in that one. Hold that thought, and we'll definitely rally that one up for later, Tyler and Balderson. I'm excited for you. All right, let's move it on to Ant. Ant, your question, please.
I'm trying to remember who was saying that socialism had brought people out of poverty. Did I mishear that? No, it hasn't, actually.
You heard that correct. Somebody said that.
Now, there's a little bit of truth, but you're not going to like where this goes. The closest we have to seeing this in action is in 1978, Deng Xiaoping instituted market reforms in China at the suggestion of the West to become more liberal, more capitalistic. And that act basically reduced global poverty by about 75% as they lifted all of these Chinese people out of just the worst state of poverty that's ever existed. And that state of poverty existed because of Maoist policies. Socialism does not lift people out of. So tell me where socialism has lifted anybody out of poverty.
The time in the U.S. that we were most free market would be the late 1800s, right? I think we even have a special name for this. And we saw poverty in this country at around 90%. 90% of our population was in poverty. It took the Great Depression and it took FDR to actually change that and bring us out of poverty. These are socialist programs, whether you like it or not. This is socialism that drug us out of that free market capitalist system that brought us the 90% poverty rate.
I'm going to have to see those numbers, but no, FDR's New Deal slowed down recovery from the Great Depression. It didn't help us out of it. That's a myth.
I didn't say anything about the Great Depression in that.
Yeah, World War II is what got us out.
Yeah,
Again,
and also in addition to that,
Depression, I talked about poverty.
The one thing I want to add to that is maybe you could say socialism brought everybody out of poverty by making everybody go into poverty, so the standard of living is so low that poverty line is actually lower than the dog shit. That would be the only explanation, the only way you could say it brought them out, by bringing everybody so far down that poverty level is, lower because the norm is dog shit. That would be the only
right.
Only
so why don't you define poverty here, right? If you're trying to save money in your wallet, but you don't have a healthcare education, then we can use Cuba as the example. People aren't hungry. They're well educated. They have access to healthcare.
They're literally starving. You know that, right?
We are the reason why they're starving.
Because we won't let them trade with us.
Not just us. They put up a fucking blockade. Yeah, they ruined their trading partner to be able to get oil from Venezuela.
So they're not self-sufficient.
That is us getting in the way of them. We are the reason why they are starving. Yes, you can do all these fucking monkey faces all you want.
Cuba's got like 14 hours of blackouts daily, bro. Like, this is not a good point. Why can't they provide electricity?
Why is that?
Because they haven't found a way under their social system to compete with the capitalist system, and it fails. So you're proving my point once again. Even whenever you have a plan, because
if you cut them off from trade, how are they going to be able to survive?
Well, like they can trade with other socialist countries. The socialist
they can't.
Hold on.
Yes, they can.
Hold on. At one point during the Cold War, arguably the Soviets were winning. Arguably, right? And what happened? Capitalism won out in the end because it's a better system.
What? The whole point of a Cold War is that there wasn't a war. Winning what?
The ideological battle over socialism and communism.
Who are the winners and losers of the ideological battle?
What do you think the Cold War was?
The Cold War was a bunch of proxy wars.
It's a bunch of
Why is the word code in front of war in the Cold War?
Because they
two
were
nations were at war, but they were battling each other. But they had a bunch of proxies that were fighting in a bunch of other countries. The USSR had spanned out across most of Asia, South America, and other countries in the 1920s and 30s. The America responded 20 years too late. If we had actually stepped up and become imperialists when they did their bloody takeover of Ukraine and other nations around them, we might have had a fighting chance. But we ended up winning it.
Imperialists before then. When did we take over Hawaii?
What does Hawaii have to do with the Cold War?
I'm sorry. Justify Hawaii, and we're not imperialists. I'll wait.
We are imperialists, man. That's destiny, baby. What is your point?
Copernicus next to you just said that we didn't start imperialism.
No, he said we should have been more imperialist. He said He's saying we should have not given the countries back. That's what he's saying. He's not saying we were never imperialists. He's saying we should have embraced our imperialist nature in a more aggressive manner.
On the world stage, yeah, different type. We were doing manifest destiny in the Western Hemisphere. They started going for the whole world. It elevated our imperialists. I never said that they weren't before.
You're arguing because I like vanilla.
Because I like vanilla, I don't like chocolate. Is your argument right now?
And do you feel like your question was answered?
Yeah,
sir?
You can move on. Thank you. I have other stuff, but it can wait for the panel.
Yeah, fair enough. Uh-oh. Clay just dropped out. I don't know what happened to him.
He said, be right back, Cam.
Oh.
He's having Cam issues, apparently.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Balderson. I appreciate it. Before I move on to non-fun, I wanted to bring this up. Fourth Wiseman says, I think non-fun is Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman's love child. Just a joke, non-fun, but we love you. I appreciate that so much. All right, Mr. Non-fun, to you, sir, your question.
Oh boy, I didn't prepare a question. I have a lot of issues with a lot of things everyone said. I guess just to start out here, I think one of the things that Civics said or whatever was that essentially a lot of the good things we have in society now or whatever because of unions or because of the progressive movement. You know, for example, the 8-hour workday and child labor laws and such. I think that broadly these are things that are even though unions and the president may have played a role in getting certain legislation passed, you still see broadly declining working hours and declining child labor across countries and across even within the U.S. Prior to these existing and over time. So we've seen a pretty consistent decline in annual hours worked in the U.S., despite the fact that there's only been a few times in which legislation was passed in it. And even prior to the U.S. Passing any child labor laws, there's already a pretty big decrease in child labor. And although I don't think the child labor laws did absolutely nothing, it does seem to be the case that they were not the biggest reason that child labor went down. And further evidence for that is just that if you just look across the world, as income distribution increases, like GDP per capita increases, the amount of child labor goes down, essentially regardless of what your standard for child labor is and regardless of the legislation that they passed.
I'm sorry. Did you say that wages are increasing around the world?
I mean, so I believe that is the case, but I more specifically said GDP per capita is as that increases, you tend to see child labor rates go down.
Okay, so what has also been decreasing is union membership and unions in general.
I agree, but that I to be clear,
so to answer your own question is that there's been a decrease in unions as well. So if these same organizations that when we say organize, that means you're having meetings. You have a hierarchy of people that you can call to get things done, to knock on doors. That's what we mean by organizing. And if
I agree, union membership is declined. That's part of my claim, though, is that there has only been a few times in the U.S. history where we have passed laws on certain labor regulations, right? I don't believe we passed a law relating to how long the workday is since 1940 or 1920s when that law was passed or whatever. But regardless of that, you still see a continued decline in annual working hours, right? So I think that is evidence for this is just, and it's a pretty steady trend too, if you look at a graph. So I think that is evidence for unions, although they might have played a role in getting certain legislation passed. This is just a broader trend we see under capitalism. And you do see it across countries as well, to my understanding, although it's a little bit, there's probably somewhat of a inverting relationship to it. I
don't agree with anything that you just said. Can you bring up those graphs?
Wait, do you agree that we haven't seen annual working hours trend downwards over time in the US?
No.
Okay.
We have more people Ubering, door dashing on the weekends outside of their normal working hours. So you have to include that in your calculation.
I believe that is included.
Okay, so you're saying you're making the argument that people aren't working 40 hours a week plus an addition, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 hours more just to make ends meet.
So I'm saying the median and or average amount of annual working hours in the US has trended downward over time. And that is despite the fact that there have only been a few times where you sort of mandated these decreases. So that number is going to take into account certain people, like for example, maybe when we get richer, it's not necessarily that like individuals do less work, but it's that people who otherwise would have to work are now supported by transfers from their families, right? So like maybe previously when we were poorer, someone would have to work until they're 80 years old and die. But now, because their child is earning more money, they retire at 65 and then are supported from their family via transfers, right? So like in that case, it's not that individual people are like working less, but median or average working out and annual working hours are still down because like a lot less people are working now, right? You can imagine that being the case.
And states that have less union membership, have they been trying to pass child labor law changes? At least in the state legislation?
I don't see how it's related to my claim. I'm not certain.
It absolutely is. If you have a state that doesn't have a lot of union representation, that means that they have the leeway because there is no organization to fight back. They can try to change the laws to allow for kids to start working in the workforce again.
I don't see how this relates to my how
does it not?
Because
you're saying that there's a downward trend because of capitalism, and I'm telling you that they're trying to pass legislation to allow children to work in the workplace again. So that completely contradicts what you're saying.
No,
Can you not make that connection?
Because my whole claim is that these laws, although I would think that they have probably some effect, right? I don't think their effect is zero. I think generally the broader trend is just related to income distributions.
I just gave you examples. So I don't understand what's hard to comprehend here.
I don't understand what's hard to comprehend about the fact that average working hours are on a continued decline, despite the fact that it seems like, or despite the fact that union membership has declined, and we've only passed laws a few select times on these issues.
We're trying to pass laws now that are allowing children to get back into the workforce.
I understand, but how to
so for example, downward or upward?
For example, that might be. I'm not. So if they're trying to pass the laws, I would imagine the trend of actually the amount of children working or whatever, it's flat still, because that implies the laws haven't been passed. But again, I'm not saying these laws do zero, right? So like maybe we repeal the law and we see child labor go up a little bit, right? And to be clear, child labor in this context, or as you're stating it, means 15-year-olds working 8 hours a week or something at McDonald's, right? Not child labor in the context that we think of historically, right? But so maybe it would go up a little, right? I'm not saying these laws don't do anything. I do think they prevent some people from working that otherwise probably would be working. I'm just saying there's a more general trend here that doesn't seem to be driven by unions or even legislation necessarily. It seems to be driven, or at least part of the trend seems to be driven by just the fact that, people, there are different mechanisms, but the one thing I mentioned earlier, like maybe people will support their family more often so they don't have to work as much when their income tends to increase.
Again, your entire premise that capitalism has led to people working less and legislation that has come that we haven't changed since the 1950s or since the 1940s.
I'm looking at it. I don't have a clean. I thought I could find it on Fred.
Contradicted by the fact that Arkansas was one of the first states to change their child labor laws. So if there's a change in child labor laws, how is that a trend down?
I feel like I've already addressed this a few times, but if we want to, I can cite examples to you too. We can look at the laws that Massachusetts passed in the 1800s with regards to child labor. There's a study that I have from an economist that said, essentially, I forget the exact number, but it did not meaningfully reduce child labor. Instead, most of the decline in child labor had already happened. I can pull up I'm going to have it so I can pull up the exact numbers. I wish I had them memorized or whatever.
Somebody else can answer.
Let me in there because I know the counter argument here. He is correct that wages.
Well, this has its effects on school enrollment, but not child labor specifically. But it's saying the child labor laws and compulsory school attendance laws, could explain at most 5% of the increase in high school enrollment. So It's not about child labor specifically, but that's obviously going to be related, right? One of the things that we want to do when we like ban child labor or whatever is typically increase school attendance, right? That's probably.
We've already done that one in the past. I will want to point out here that your other argument about hours worked. Yes, we have gone down. I think it's the average is like 34 work hours right now, especially in the bottom economic tiers. That being said, we see a pretty steep, I think a 50% increase in the salary worker, and their wages have actually, or their hours worked per week has actually gone up in the last 50 years, a little bit more exponentially in the last 20 to 30. So I would argue that the reason why you're seeing less hourly work from hourly workers is because we're having an increased amount of salary workers filling up that void.
Well, also one other thing to add to that with the salary workers,
I'm looking at for old persons in the U.S. I think.
Right.
Average annual hours worked by persons engaged for United States.
I also want to point out one thing that's key with the salary workers thing is coming back to the contract law as opposed to the wage guy. A wage guy comes in there and he's probably working a guaranteed wage. He might negotiate like, I don't know, $2-3 difference or whatever. However, salary person, they come in there and part of that is negotiations. You negotiated every this irrevocably. Like disproves any kind of theft idea when you're under a salary cap. Because you over here do a salary, you might work 1 million hours, but you've agreed to this of your own volition and what benefits you do or don't get. You've gone through this. There's a negotiation with you and them back and forth, and then you choose to accept or not accept. And usually when you're in a salary position, you have other companies that you can go work for that are competitive wage, wage wise, right? And benefits wise. And we have to include both of those. And this really goes against everything that they were saying about theft. If you are knowingly involving yourself in a negotiation and then agreed upon a contract to take a salary to work an infinity amount of hours with benefits or non-benefits, it just erases the whole, wage theft is capitalism argument.
Yeah, we can go back to that if you really want to. But I'm looking at a chart right now, Our World in Data, and there was a huge drop in average hours worked by the year up until 1940. And then 1940, it rose, and then it dropped down again in 1960. And then we've kind of been level ever since then. These are
what is that? What is the chart looking at to be clear?
It's annual working hours per worker, starting at 1870 all the way through 2023. It's Our World in Data. Our World in Data, Working More Than Ever is the title of the website or the article. But it's kind of stabilized since 1940. I would say it's basically stabilized and even started going back up again.
It's possible. I don't know exactly what they're. So I'm guessing there's probably some difference in methodology here. And I don't know exactly what it would be.
Well, but, this is UK, Belgium, Germany, Sweden, Australia, France, United States. That includes all those countries. They're all about the same graph line. So I don't know.
Oh, hold on. I think I see what you're. I would have to look at it because I'm just looking at Fred, which is I'm looking at the average annual.
Well, I wanted to go back as far as I could.
And then I have a book with graphs in it. I have the digital book. I can't like easily send the pictures from it. I wish I could, but it's looking at average weekly hours and average and the hours per employee, and both of those are on a pretty consistent downward trend. So I wonder if this is...
I would say since World War II, we've kind of just leveled out. So I would say, it seems like the labor that was added during that time period allowed us to stay where we're at, and probably the labor unions too. I don't know that some of these countries are going up now, though. Maybe that is a lower participation in labor unions, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking at your same graph here. One of the suggested graphs is literally hours worked by full-time and part-time employees is on an upward trend from the 1950s.
Yeah, but it's not. But you understand how that could be described, for example, what I said earlier, which is that, you probably, for example, you would expect kind of as the returns to work increase, potentially then a number of hours worked by individual employees would go up, right? But maybe there are other
full-time and part-time employees, both of them.
Yeah. So yeah, what I'm saying, for example, remember when I mentioned earlier that like the sort of, you can imagine the returns to work increasing, everyone gets paid for their work. They can buy more things with it, right? They can consume more with it. So people might have some incentive to individually work more. But but just overall, if you include the non-workers, there might be people who previously would have had to work but now don't have to because they can be supported by either transfers from their family or even transfers from the government.
Now you're making a lot of assumptions. Now you're adding a lot of assumptions to back up the crap that you're saying.
What do you mean I'm adding a lot of assumptions? I don't think it.
We can imagine. I'm sorry. When you say we can imagine,
I'm explaining why. I'm explaining why what you're saying is not really contradicting what I'm saying.
And what's not being included in your argument here is, are people satisfied with their work?
I feel like that's wholly irrelevant to like what I've said, but yeah, that's not.
There's a massive trend for people being dissatisfied with their working conditions.
Wait, hold on. Wait, also to be clear, are you just looking at the hours worked by full and part-time employees graph?
Yeah.
This isn't even adjusted for a population. Obviously, that's going to increase. It's not adjusted for a population.
Sorry, this is literally from your
and it says hours worked by full-time and part-time employees. It's not adjusted for population. Yeah, it's going to go up over time.
It's not per capita.
Per capita.
Sure.
Let's go ahead and pin that one, and that way, if you guys want to kind of take some time to look a little more into the study, and be able to have a bit more of a conversation during the gauntlet.
Well, hold on, just to be clear, I just want to, like, you see on the left side where it says millions of hours, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you understand there's no way that any individual person is working 259,000 million hours.
Yeah, I get that. So what is yours?
To be clear, when I look at my graph, right, it just says hours, right? Because it's average annually hours worked by person. So it's just the y-axis here. It's just in hours, and right now it's at 1,788, right? So a person could obviously work 1,700 hours in a year.
What was the big change at the beginning of this graph that you had already mentioned?
I just want to, but
I don't know what happened at the beginning of this graph.
At what graph?
The lady has spoken.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move forward. Sure. Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate it. Alley Cat, to you, sir, your question or comment?
Okay, well, mine's pretty simple. What makes you think that a democratic system works better than a free market?
Sorry?
What makes you think a democratic system works better than a free market?
One is a government system and one is an economic system.
You said that we should be pushing for companies to have a democratic distribution of labor and jobs and stuff like that.
You're talking about like co-ops.
Are you guys talking like democratic?
I think you're talking about Mojo. You're talking about Mojo, not Civics.
No, it's not Mojo.
No, it's
because I didn't use the term
Civics.
Democratic ever. So, but Civics, he's talking.
You're talking about democratizing our economy. Is that what your question is, Alley Cat?
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay, cool. You know that we could have a free market as long as people own the means of their production, right?
No, we can't.
What does that mean? No, it don't. No. Well, wait.
Why? You can trade. Why not?
The people already own the means of production. What are you talking about? Yes, they do.
No, the labor.
In the United States, does the state own the means of production?
No.
Then who does?
Not the laborers.
Capital owning class
that are actually working.
Okay, are they people?
They're not working, and they don't own the means of production.
Oh my God! The people own the means of production.
I'm sorry.
No, not the people. Only a few people.
Okay. So if somebody is working like a franchise, like a Subway franchise, are they at the top or are they at the bottom? Are they a worker or are they an owner?
They're a franchisee. What do you mean?
Oh my God. If you have, so what the question is getting at is that there's like no distinction between worker and capitalist or whatever. Or
there absolutely is. What are you talking about?
No, there isn't.
There absolutely is.
No, not at all.
How is there no distinction?
Because everybody is responsible for contributing to their economy in the way they see fit.
How?
By doing things to promote the economy.
Do you not need to survive?
Sure. And you do that by trading with other people in the economy.
Is that not a condition of your survival? That you need to eat, you need to be able to pay rent. You need so then you have to work, right?
Every system, though, right?
Well, no. You don't have to work. You can actually go. You can go out and feed yourself, right?
That's why I just asked you that you need all of these things to survive.
Okay,
so you need to work.
Okay,
how else are you going to survive?
So does the capitalist class not work? Give me your definition. You have the workers. What's the other side?
The workers. What are you talking about?
The people own the means of production. I said that that's what happens. You're saying no, they don't.
The workers own the means of production.
Okay, so what's the opposite of a worker?
You have an elite capitalist class that owns the capital. They're the ones that own the means of production. So in your subway example, it would be the franchisee or the owner of that franchise, and then their owners would be all of Subway.
Okay, wait. So the owner of the franchise is an elite capitalist class, and the people that own the franchise, i.e., own Subway, are also
the same person in your argument.
No, it's not. There is a company called Subway Incorporated, right?
Yes.
Do they franchise businesses?
Yes.
And they have leadership, correct?
Yes.
Do they have capital?
Yes.
Okay. The franchise owner, the single owner that owns the franchise, is he an elite capitalist?
Yeah.
Okay. And yet he works for other elite capitalists, correct?
Yeah.
So
you can have people that own capital that also answer to other people that own capital.
Great. Everyone owns capital. Do you understand that?
Don't. The people.
Do you have a car? Do you have a car? Do you have a house? Do you have clothes? Do you have? Yes, that's all capital. Do you understand what capital is?
Do you understand what capital is?
I totally understand what capital is because I have a master's in economics. Do you understand what capital is?
Do you know? I don't give a fuck if you have a master's in economics.
Well,
you wouldn't have asked that
really stupid
fucking question if you had a master's.
No. I'm trying to figure out if you understand what capital is. All capital is.
You have a master's degree and you're free markets for the win?
Yes. Anybody that's come out this way should know this well.
Where did you get your master's degree? DeVry?
Yeah, DeVry. No, it was a community. It was a small college in Naperville.
Okay. So again, the franchisee owner is part of the capitalist owning class. The people that work for him do not own a piece of Subway.
What?
The people that work under the franchisee do not own a piece of Subway.
So if the franchisee was to give shares of his franchise to the workers,
which is what a lot of companies do. A lot of companies do that, by the way.
So does that change your metric at all?
He can't give shares.
Yes, he can.
Yeah, you can. If you own a franchise.
Sorry. Let me correct my question. So you're saying a franchisee of Subway wants to distribute shares of his ownership of that Subway chain?
Correct.
Not the franchise, but other Subway chains.
To the workers. Hold on. Equally to the workers.
What?
Equally to the workers.
What do you mean equally?
Hypothetically, there's 100 shares.
5 workers.
You would distribute that to the workers.
So every worker gets a 20% share.
Sure.
That's what's required for you to have socialism? What if the owner has 80% and the other 4 workers have 5% each?
Then they're just getting shares. Do they have a one worker, one vote?
But they don't own the means of production. They don't own capital.
Is it one worker, one vote?
What does that matter? That was the original question.
That's where the democratization comes in.
That was my original question.
Mr. Masters, that was an awful question then. Do the workers, by having shares, now all of a sudden have an equal say in what that franchise does? You said there's 5 workers, that includes the owner, so there's 5 votes in what they want to do. Yes, that would be the workers owning the means of production, because there are 5 fucking workers there, and they have 5 votes to make the decision of what that franchise is going to do. Maybe they want to have barbecue turkey sandwiches every Tuesday on sale. They collectively made that decision.
Okay, so in order to have full collectivization, every person has to have equal share in all the decisions that are used to run
One
that
worker,
company.
one vote. Yes.
What does that mean? What are they voting on? No. You're not being specific at all. They could be voting. Like,
I don't know how to make it more specific.
It's simple. Okay. Have you
let
ever
me throw
owned...
it back to you. What do you think I mean by one worker, one vote?
I have no
This should be
idea.
easy.
I
You're
have
the
no
masters, and
idea.
you've never heard of the term one worker, one vote.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm going to explain it this way. There are companies out there that have shares.
Fucking master's degree, man.
Dude, you have no clue what the fuck you're talking about, dude.
How do you not know what one worker, one vote means?
Because you haven't even explained how the voting system works. So how can I know what that means?
Let's leave the Subway example. They want a new Pepsi machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order to make that decision, they're going to have a company meeting. They're going to be like, "Listen, we're getting shafted by Coke. Let's get Pepsi.
Okay.
Let's get Pepsi." They vote as a group to decide to switch over to Pepsi.
So that one vote off the entirety of the operation of that company makes it a collective.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that would
because
be
they're
for
making company decisions.
That would be for every vote, though. Every decision that the company makes would be done.
What?
By
No.
No. Let me finish answering. So instead of a board of directors and instead of a CEO that are making decisions for the company, you would have all the employees, or the board of directors and the CEO would be equal in the decision-making process with every other worker that works at the company. So every decision-making process is done on through a democratic vote.
Okay.
I think that's what he's saying.
Okay, that's fine.
Am I right, Civics?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you guys understand how a corporation works? Right?
Yeah, I understand.
What kind of stupid question is that?
Hold on. Before you continue, Alley Cat, does every corporation operate the same way?
No. Okay, but I'm going to use a very generic version.
Keep going. Okay. I just wanted you to make that distinction.
That's fine. They all have shares, correct?
Not every corporation.
Not every worker at the corporation has shares.
No, that's not what I asked. That's not what I asked. I asked if every corporation has shares, and I believe the answer to that is true. Because if you don't have shares, you're not a corporation. You're a different type of.
An LLC is a corporation that does not have shares. They
do. It's just usually the owner. Usually the owner has 100% stake in the share.
Wait, is there a way you can split an LLC up into 10 different owners?
For sure. Most definitely.
Absolutely.
All the time. Yes. Okay. So that's the whole thing. The idea is that everyone that owns a share in the company gets a vote. Basically, it's the one share, one vote concept that you're trying to get at with the one worker, one vote. But what happens is that generally they're used once a year to pick the board of directors, right?
One share, one vote?
Yes. So if you have 1 million shares and you have 10 shares,
can one person have more than one share?
For sure.
Then that doesn't. Then that's not.
I'm not asking how your system works. I'm trying to give a comparative system.
But it's not comparable.
It is comparable.
If it's one share, one vote, but somebody can have multiple shares, that means they have multiple votes. So that's not comparable.
Okay.
This is where I have a problem with this. They do not issue stocks or shares. They are frequently called units or percentages. So LLCs do not have stocks or shares. That's what
units or percentages is the same thing as shares.
That's fine. But
fundamentally the same thing.
I'm just telling you that's what was tripping me up.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to explain a system that has worked for 2,000 years and try to compare it to your system. So can we get through the explanation of how a corporation works?
What has been around for 2,000 years?
A corporation.
And I remember, what was the first question I asked you, Alley Cat?
What my name was?
No. When you started going down this diatribe. Is every corporation the same?
No, it's not the same. But,
okay, so then you can't bring up a 2,000-year-old example if they don't all operate the same way.
Okay, I will sit there and argue that 80 to 90% of the companies operate in the way that I'm going to describe it. Is that fair enough? Today companies.
Today,
400 years,
companies,
by the way. Corporations started 400 years ago.
No, it
Just so you
didn't.
know.
There were no.
It
There
did
were
too.
there were
The first recognized
corporations.
business corporation was the Dutch East India Company. I'm
Else,
sorry.
look at Roman society. They had corporations to deal with public works. I can send you whole papers on this if you really need to see it.
is it proto-capitalism?
They had early,
Probably.
yeah, it was they're proto corporations, early legal entities. They're not
Okay.
corporations.
Sure. Okay.
What the fuck, man? I'm sorry, but if we're going to be specific about terminology here, and you want to talk about
The Dutch
democratizing,
East
then
Indies
you have to be
Company
fucking specific.
The Dutch East Indies Company wasn't the same as today's companies. So now that doesn't count either, even though
Yeah,
it's a corporation
you're
according to
giving an
you.
example
It is
that
a
doesn't
corporation,
exist.
though.
Yeah, it's a
That is the
proto.
first
It's a proto,
corporation.
but they don't understand the difference between proto and pseudo.
I know,
That's the
that's
problem.
exactly what it is.
Let's
All right, yeah, we
end
can
that
move on.
one.
This is
That's
Yeah.
cool, man.
too
That's
stupid
all
for
right.
words.
It was a good attempt to get a rundown here, but I quite frankly, I feel like Subway this week on my show has been getting a lot of hits. Okay, a lot of hits, and I like my
They deserve
Subway.
it.
And you guys are hitting them left, right, center all week. Clay, my love, my darling. Sorry I had to put you on the end of the line. If you'd like to ask your question or comment, please.
Sure, and thank you for having us up. Thank you for having the debate. You guys did a good job. Not quite as good as last night, I would say. Last night's was freaking awesome, but you guys did a really good job. Maybe politics has become the new religion. You guys are fighting like you're religious. But with this argument tonight, these arguments, the debate tonight, kind of what I'm taking away from it is that both sides. What is that breathing?
Yeah, somebody's
That's
breathing pretty hard.
I got you, Allie. I got you.
Thank you. Okay. What I'm taking away from this debate is essentially that both sides really just want a portion of the other one's little utopia. So let's go to the communists. Let's go to the socialists.
We're not
how
communists.
do you guys socialist, communist, whatever? It's that side of the crazy leftists, the crazy lefties. How do you feel about private property?
I don't believe in it.
You don't believe in private property. So if you have an apple, I can just take it?
No, that's personal property.
So that's private property, right? So
That's
if you have something that
property.
belongs to you, it's private property.
There's
Your
a
clothes,
difference
your
between
hat.
private and personal property.
So, no, there's no difference. There's really no difference. There's
There
literally
absolutely
legally
is.
no difference, sir. If you have a hat and I want a little piece of that hat, I can take my scissors and cut a piece of it off so that I can put something on my head so that I can protect my head while I'm out there working.
Why would I advocate for a system?
Well,
Why
I need
would
to
I
work,
advocate
sir.
for a
I need to
system?
work, sir, and I need a portion of your hat.
Can I
Okay.
ask what Civics' two different definitions are for private and personal? And maybe Clay, you can
cool.
find some common ground with it.
My personal property is my house. You can't just come and take it, right? But I don't own the land. Let's say I have a house by a lake. That lake is shared by the community. Everybody has access to that lake. You want to go fish in it? Cool. Those aren't my fish. That's not my private property. My house that is on that lake is my personal property. There's the difference.
Okay, so that's personal property. So what's private property?
I want to live in a system where there is no private property. Private property would be if a company came in, put up a fence around that lake and said, you guys can't come in here. We need this lake because we farm these fish and sell that. And that's part of our corporation. That's part of our business. We are going to privately own this lake. When in reality, I want a system where that lake is publicly owned. Everybody has access to that lake.
So what if I build a pond on my personal property? Would you want a piece of that too?
You want to build a pond?
Yeah, I can build a pond on my property. Yeah.
Do any
I
of the resources?
I literally put fish in it myself. I went and got the fish and I did a little hatchery. I put fish in a pond that I built myself. Now you want a piece of that. So you have no concept of personal or private property.
The house that is on the lake.
No, there's no difference.
The house that is on the lake is your personal property. The
Okay,
lake is private, is public property.
Yeah, you don't.
Right? Do you see how I haven't said any
I
curse
get that
words
you don't
towards
understand.
you?
Yeah, I get it. I get it. You're kind of an idiot.
And that you're
Okay, now I want to hear
losing your
Mojo's
mind right
version.
now, and that you have to go into ad homs
Yeah.
because
You're gonna do a diatribe. I get it. You're an idiot.
can't understand
Can I
what
hear
I'm trying to say to
Mojo?
you because I
Can I hear
completely
Mojo?
picked apart like I've never heard.
I
this
want to hear
fucking argument.
Mojo. It's not to you anymore. I heard
Do you consider yourself a libertarian?
No. I'm a man.
No.
I'm a grown ass man living on the land.
Libertarian.
No, I'm a
It's
man.
nothing to do whether you're a man or a woman. It's not
I don't
gender.
fall into your little paradigm.
Libertarian is not gender. What is wrong
Clay
with you?
doesn't like to claim categories.
Yeah, these little ideals, these idea-isms that you have in your mind, you've been tricked by the system. I haven't. So Mojo, what is your version
so
of private
you are
property?
the person that everybody hates. I got you.
No, everybody loves me actually.
I like you, Clay.
Yeah, everybody loves me. So Mojo, but in all sincerity, in all sincerity, I do want to know how you view private property.
Well, I'm going to say you can't own land or natural resources.
Okay, but you can have private property.
Your house is your property. Your toothbrush is your property. Your bed is your property.
You're not an insane person. Okay, very good. Thank you.
How is that different than what I said, Clay?
Because private property is a legal explanation for what we own, and the legality of it matters in this. And you want a system with at least some type of personal owning, which is private property in the legal sense.
No, everything that Mojo said is exactly what I believe as well. I don't think that you should be able to own land and resources.
He did say the same thing. He didn't say it in the same. He did say that you can't own the lake.
That's on a land. You want a house that's on a land. So you don't want the land. You don't want to be able to own the land. So I can build a tunnel underneath your house and build a bunker down there and then just kind of live up underneath you.
Do you understand that there might be laws that you can't do that?
Yeah, that's called private property laws. Yes, exactly.
I'm going to say the land under the house is also public property.
Yeah, you
don't get to dig into the land underneath my house or anywhere else unless you have a public approval to do so.
Yeah.
So, but you do have a concept of private property, which is, in a sense, capitalism. It really actually boils down to capitalism. You know what capital is? It's owning things, stuff. What actually
with your Apple,
trying to point out. Now, you want a piece of it? That's okay. It's great. I think you should have a piece of it, but you should also have, and I'm going to go over to the other side, and I apologize. I'm going to leave it right there because I want to get through this so we can get to the gauntlet. I'm going to go over to the extreme authoritarians. You guys. Oh, my goodness, Gibbs. You're killing me, bro.
How are we authoritarian? Like, how is like not having government? Actually, we're the opposite of authoritarian. We're saying we don't want central planning by the government. That's the opposite of authoritarian.
I get it. I know your takes on that portion. That's why I'm not even going to go to that. So I don't want to work for you. You don't want to work for me. So we don't want to work for each other. But would you like to work with me to build a better society? To do trade?
Yeah,
are you asking
economically profitable to pop up? Sure, but if it's not profitable, then no.
So if it's not economically profitable for you, but I'm not going to do it unless it's economically profitable for me.
Right. And there are ways that can be profitable for both of us.
Social agreement, social contract. Yeah, and yes, I understand that it's not entirely communism, but it is socialism.
It's not communism at all. You understand that contracts are fundamental. Consent is part of this is a big reason why I brought up proto-capitalism versus actual capitalism, and I explained why it doesn't get better. And I know that people like proto, it means something. Words means things, right? Yes. And so when I bring up contract law, right? Yes. Contract law is consent. This is why we don't have slaves under a capitalist society. We can't, right? Like, that's like it's a goal is to have everybody in capitalism is going to have their own economic independence where they have their own private, not personal property, private property and consent, and they can enter into a contract with you. That is of two people. Yes. Now, if the government forces me to enter a contract with you, that would be socialism or fascism or some other strong-handed, not governmental style of ruling.
But aren't we doing that already? Aren't we doing that already?
Aren't we doing that already?
Who is holding the gun, sir? As the great Ben Shapiro says, who is holding the gun?
Me.
We both are. We both are.
No.
The government is holding the gun. We're holding the gun. And we have been since 1776. We've been holding it against each other. And that, my friend, is socialism. We come to the table because we're both holding guns. We're both holding guns. We've been doing it since 1776. And I'm just pointing this out because
that's not socialism. Hold on. That's not socialism. Once again,
they've got a social contract that we sit down and we agree and agree and agree. And we all point guns at each other until we agree. This is just the way it works. I'm sorry that you don't like it, but it's the way it works. You can work with me.
Clay, it is the way it works because you're confused, though. Socialism is not a social contract. Yeah, I got to be honest. That is like maybe a second grader's understanding of political theory.
Okay.
Like that is like, first of all, a social contract
it's
with John Locke.
It's elementary, my dear.
Socialism.
Let him respond, Clay.
Hold on. John Locke, when he advocated for a social contract, right? Like where you have like life, liberty, the pursuit of like property, right? You know, that's going to be something of John Locke's social contract. That's not socialism. And this is why we kept talking about the definition. No. It's not.
Sorry, you're right. I'm just laughing.
It's a piece of it.
It's just like.
You still need a piece of social contract. You still want your private property, but you need somebody to guard it.
Hold on.
Somebody.
You got this, Gibbs.
Hold on. Yeah, bro, this is once again the libertarian everything is socialist argument. This is not a good argument. Like, listen, a social contract is not socialism, right? This is why we define socialism as a certain form of economic and political theory where a government plans a central economy. If me and Tyler enter into a contract to make widgets, right, and it benefits us both financially, that is separate from the government. The government has nothing to do with this. The only thing it enforces is the laws, which guess what is not socialism. Just because you enforce laws, that would mean every government in history was socialist, which is the most retarded thing I've ever heard in my life. No. Every government, because every government has a law, and therefore, hold on. Every government has law. Oh, no. Every government has had laws, including the Pirates of the Bahamas. Hold on.
Hobbes would disagree with you on that. Every government is a Leviathan.
Yeah, but Calvin's got my back, so.
If it's a Leviathan, it has laws.
Right.
So the laws aren't socialism.
So then we opt in to a social contract, a social agreement. But here's the
hold on. You are conflating government as a whole with socialism. Listen, government is a social contract between people and the government. Socialism is a form of economic theory and government. They are totally separate things. Do you understand that?
Government in it, right? Government comes into play in socialism. Yes.
You think every government is socialist? Is that what you're saying?
No, there are dictatorships.
What government
is two choices? Remember,
dictatorships can be socialist or non-socialist. Holy Christ!
You've got two choices.
Gibbs, can you tag me in real quick?
You can either work with
go ahead, Papa,
or
please.
you can work.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is the part I love.
Turn the panel all against you. That's what
I was going to say. Like, it's very rare, but when it happens, the entire upper half can turn on one person on the bottom, and it gets good. Go ahead, Civics. Tag.
So, again, Clay, here's where you're just fundamentally wrong. The classic social contract theorists, Rousseau, Rousseau, they wanted to fundamentally protect private property rights. Socialists don't believe in private property. So that's what makes you an idiot. Are social contract theorists socialists?
Because you don't understand private property. You don't understand the shirt that's on your back.
You understand private property.
Do you understand the difference between personal property
and protects you from the sun, the beating sun? That is a piece of equipment for you. The hat on your head protects your head from the beating sun. That is a piece of protection for you. It is equipment. It is for your work. If it wasn't for the work that you do, you could just run around naked. But
do you understand that socialism? Do you understand
that you're just a worker? I get it. You're a worker. You're pissed off at the fucking ruling class. You're just pissed off.
I think and guess what? That you're outclassed here.
Need clothes.
I think that's what you're pissed off at.
That's the private. I'm pissed off.
You're the one sitting up here trying to say that social contract theorists were socialist.
I'm going to leave it alone.
Because the word social is in it. That's your whole argument. And you can't distinguish between personal property and private property. So then you have that smug smile on your face because you're like, I know I'm right in my brain. It works.
Hold on. Before we go,
media.
Where in the legality of it is the personal property part?
Where in the what?
where in the legal framework, the U.S. code, the statutes of your state, the ordinances, the policies, procedures, and protocols of the police departments, the fire departments
before the US
in the
was a
city,
thing.
where in any of that is it talking about personal property and not private property, sir?
You can't distinguish between personal and private property. That's a you thing.
You do.
That's a you thing.
Do. That's the problem.
That's a
because
you
don't
thing.
have a legal
You are
framework for your
conflating private property. Again, socialism is trying to dismantle private property.
What legal
Communists
framework
and
is there for
socialists and
personal
leftists
property?
don't want private property.
What legal framework is there for personal property? Where is it in the statute?
What legal framework is there for personal property?
Yes, it doesn't exist. Exactly.
We're talking about a system that doesn't exist
Stick
yet.
on your face. It doesn't exist.
We're trying to build this system.
It doesn't
So
exist.
if I'm trying to build that system just to satisfy you, Clay, Article 1, Section 1, that's where it's located. Because it doesn't fucking exist. Article 1, Section 1. The difference between personal and private property. There you go.
Yeah, you
All right.
There's where it exists.
Let's move on. Tyler and Balderson, I believe, wanted a one-on-one, correct? Was that what I was understanding? Okay, we're gonna put you guys into a speed date, but first, I just want to say I'm shutting down on the Raging Tomatoes side on YouTube. I'm shutting down on Twitter. I'm shutting down on X. I'm shutting down on Kick. If you would like to continue, we are moving over to the Gauntlet. That is at the Gauntlet Debate on YouTube. Start moving over there now to continue the evening. Congratulations to the chat. You have purchased your Gauntlet time and then some. All right. Fourth Wiseman comes in with a big 10. 100% U.S. is imperialist. This is very obvious in the weights and scales measurements. Get with this system. U.S. metric system supersedes imperial system by far. Man, shots fired at the ruler, man.
I know, right?
Any thoughts to add to this, gentlemen?
No, just a big thank you to thank you to the two capitalists, and thank you, Sarah, and everybody. Keep subscribing.
Yes, keep doing it. Also, 2 cash apps coming in from Mr. Tom Carpenter. I choose to give you a $50 raise. Yes, my hourly wages have increased thanks to Mr. Tom Carpenter, and I am officially an elite capitalist now. Mr. Tom Carpenter sends in a big 50 on the cash app, says, I didn't know you were an elite capitalist before now. Thank you. Thank you for pointing out how elite I am. I've never had elite status, and now I do. And Fourth Wiseman says, my social contract is here. Have a carrot. Have a carrot. All right, if you are watching over on Raging Tomato, I'm pulling that plug now. Get over to the Gauntlet. We are continuing on. All right, Mr. Tyler and Balderson. I do know Tyler has to go because his little wifey called. All right, I'm going to remove everybody else from the stage. Let these two have at it for about 5 minutes. So if you need to use a restroom or get something to eat, now's the time to do it. Here you go.
All right, Balderson, open us up. You're at the F. Oh, you're muted.
My bad. Try that Trump has ruined the economy with disastrous war in Iran, and that like when both sides were being real disingenuous about the libertarians and the people in the center, that Trump promised a whole lot of shit. Trump lied about a whole lot of shit. It's already shit. All them promises down the tubes. Our economy is worse than it's ever been. Again, and we're at another war. But Wall Street's good.
All right, well, at the end of the day, I will say the economic damage is being done by Trump. I would argue that the trade war is actually the preponderance of the problems we're seeing, and the trade war needs to be dropped well before the midterms in order for them to at least have a chance to hold the House. They may still hold the Senate. That being said, this war in Iran, this is the #1 destabilizing force. They've shut this strip down half a dozen times in negotiations with other countries. During the tanker wars, it was significantly more shut down with military force backing it. I'd argue they have shown they are not a worthy force to hold this strip, and they need to be removed from the ability to exercise power over it.
That is theirs, not ours. We have our own oil and our own shit. And guess what? That's halfway across the fucking world. They're no threat to us. They're no problem for us. there's no reason for us to be dealing with it. The only reason we deal with it is because of a relationship with Israel. Otherwise, it don't even fucking matter.
Well,
The whole thing's nonsense, and it does no good for the American public.
We have 3 important waterways over there. That's the reason why we're actually invested in that area, is a large part of the oil and 3 important waterways. If Iran were to control these 3 important waterways backed by China, Russia, they could shut down our economy. Look what the damage they're doing to the economy right now just by shutting down the strait with threat of terrorism. Now imagine the Chinese military was actually doing it. There's no way we could combat it without actually being in there how we are right now. So we don't want that to fall into our enemies' hands, and that's why we rent Israel's army.
I didn't catch that last part over the dogs.
I was going to say that's why we rent Israel's army. We're unilateralists now. We rent other nations' armies to fight for us, and we rent Israel to do it for us.
No, well, we pay Israel and give Israel everything in order to continue their holy war. I absolutely agree with that. But we have our own oil. We have our own economies. We don't need to suppress other economies in order to make ours thrive. That is what we're doing for sure. But we could do good business instead, and we have all kinds of resources in our country that we could be dealing with, and we could turn around and actually put American workers to work and actually bring the middle class back up instead of bleeding everybody fucking dry.
Well, that's what we're doing right now. And at the end of the day, the IT sector is booming because of the AI surge. We have tech jobs blowing up everywhere. Data center techs right now. Anyone that's looking for a career, go get a CompTIA A+. Tech centers are fucking blowing up right now. It starts with $30 an hour, full benefits, and that's just level 1 right in the door. It's a fantastic blue-collar opportunity, and there's going to be hundreds of there's trillions of dollars invested into building them right now because of Trump's AI boom. So I would argue that the middle class is coming back in that regard. Yeah. What this is a temporary war that will, yes, spike the economy in a bad way. Absolutely will take a couple months to go away, but we're removing the most destabilizing force from the world stage. Again, it's even if Israel
destabilizing force in the world stage. We destabilize everything. Like the disingenuous shit where y'all pretended like we don't blockade Cuba, like the disingenuous shit like we didn't lock up Iran's money and don't blockade them, and then don't want to let them trade in other monetary systems, which the world is giving up on now. That's what's destabilizing us, that the world is saying, fuck your petrodollar. We're going to go ahead and trade in other dollars and say, fuck you. And that is what's going to destabilize our economy. But had we not been on this dumbass bullshit economy in the first place, then this wouldn't be a problem.
It's a post-World War II treaty that created our general shared dollar, the SWIFT program. Not a single country
I'm aware of how it works.
Yeah, but no country has left that. Yeah, I'm just kind of telling the audience as well, just the full context. Okay. No country has left that yet. So I argue that BRICS was a massive failure.
They didn't. They started trading in other monetary systems, and that was the thing that has been upheld for years and years. And not only do they have to have our fucking monetary system to do the trade, they also have to buy U.S. stocks or bonds, and that has upheld our bullshit dead economy.
We're siphoning some of their growth off of them by being yes, I agree with you on that. And it's kind of why we remain at the top. Absolutely. But I'd argue BRICS has absolutely failed. One of the major BRIC nations is India. It's one of the major buyers and sellers in that particular area. And Trump put a 50% sanction on India until they stopped buying Russian oil. And they eventually did. He dropped it down to a 15% sanction. But he pressured them to stop doing trade with a major BRICS country.
They're still buying that oil.
Once the war started,
China's buying it up in mass.
Yeah, because once the war started,
China ain't stopping shit anymore, and it's the yuan or whatever. That's the one that's taking over right now. It's got nothing. Who cares about the BRICS? China's taking that shit over, and they've been buying that in mass, and they're selling it cheap because they took advantage of the time period where we didn't allow that trade in that in order to buy it up for cheap, and now they're putting it back out onto the market with a nice premium. Brilliant freaking strategy.
Let's go back to, let me shift back a little bit. Is there a type of intervention the United States participates in that you approve of? Are you just absolute isolationist?
We can obviously trade and have allies, and with that, but we're not just an interventionist. We are the world terrorist. We overthrow all the governments. We do all the bad things. And guess who pays for that? Our citizens who have went broker and broker. We are literally a two-tier system now. We've got fucking most of the nation. We've got so fucking many people eating out of food banks and off food stamps. And yeah, you can shit on them, but guess what? The country's fucking dead. And them couple data centers aren't going to lift up and replace all the vast amount of businesses that we lost from NAFTA.
But at the end of the day, though, everything has become vastly cheaper. Every product, except for like 3 or 4 products, everything in your buy with
we ain't got money.
Has become very cheaper out of your, as a percentage.
Economy now because
as a percentage of your income.
I was actually fine with the tariffs and trying to bring fucking businesses back over here, and let's tap into some of these natural resources here and bring back the manufacturing here so people here make the fucking money. And then we don't have to shit out of Walmart. Fuck Walmart.
I know Non-Fun wants in on this. I got a jet. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night, Tyler. Thank you so much, and tell your wife I said hello.
Absolutely. Had a good one. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I think, first of all, when you say, when he says things have gotten cheaper, the point of him saying that is to point out that's essentially that makes real wages go up, right? So if your real wage is your wage adjusted for inflation, when the price of goods go down, that's deflation, right? So kind of mechanically there, you're increasing real wages when the price of everything goes down because you can just buy more with your money, right? And then second of all, I think we have good
garbage out of the dollar store. Food didn't go down, gas didn't go down, electricity didn't go down, anything meaningful in housing sure as fuck didn't go down. But guess what?
First of all,
because they aren't out doing manufacturing and building things, the middle class is gone. You kids think fucking McDonald's is a legitimate job. That was something you did when you were 15.
I mean, I'm not certain how many middle or older people are working at McDonald's permanently or whatever. Certainly some are, but I would expect, a lot of people working at McDonald's probably still are 15-year-olds or whatever, and are only there temporarily. But so I do think, if you just look at the price trend over time for certain things, it's true that not many things that nominal price of which have fallen, right? But one, you can compare to the overall rate of inflation and say that it grew slower compared to the rate of inflation. Two, you can look at the sort of percentage of income of someone's income spent on certain things, right? So it does seem to be the case that if you look at the percentage of income spent on food, for example, that has been on a pretty continued steady downward trend. Same thing if you look at essentially all necessities. I think it's I think it used to be close to 30% in the sort of 1940s that Americans would spend on necessities like food, clothing, gas. Now it's closer to, I think, 14%. Because our income has grown faster than the prices of these things have risen, and therefore the sort of percentage of your income devoted to these things seems to be going down. So that is kind of the metric by which we're comparing to here.
That's absolute nonsense if I've ever heard it. We definitely are spending less on our basic necessities. There's a reason that we're
as a percent of your income, as a percent of your
income,
and
what they call food poverty, and why people are eating out of these things called food banks and getting food stamps because they can't even afford fucking food. They can't afford electricity. They can't afford anything. Guess what? When you're making the $7.50 minimum wage, federal minimum wage, and a fucking carton of eggs costs $10, things didn't get better.
So I'm looking at, first of all, maybe a longer time period than you're looking at, and second of all, when I'm talking about the sort of the median when I refer to these things. So the median
person's time period you be talking about? Fucking 100 years ago, everybody was eating out of their own gardens. 90% of your food came on your own land.
Right.
What
time it's ludicrous to consider 1920s economics to 2020 economics. It's ludicrous.
90% of your food.
But I think that, so I can compare to 1970 if you want, right? Like he mentioned NAFTA. NAFTA was something that only happened in the 1994, right?
The middle class, yes. It took all of our manufacturing businesses. And
so that's not true. I don't believe you can substantiate that. But just to focus on this point, what's your evidence that, for example, people aren't spending a higher percentage of their income on food now? Or sorry, I should lower.
restate your question.
What's your so I can like pull up statistics from I think I have an article from the Cato Institute saved on this, but I think you can just look at some stuff on Fred as well that shows that the percentage of income that people spend on food and other necessities has gone down over time. Do you have any evidence to the contrary of that, or like?
That's why they have food banks, food stamps, because people can't afford
these things. They
aren't using their money to buy them anymore. Do you understand how much our country's in food poverty?
What is food poverty?
So I think when people
where you on a regular basis don't know what the fuck you're gonna eat.
Yeah, cupboards are bare.
Yeah, but
food
that's like
food insecurity is what they call it. I think.
Yeah, that is like those are things like kind of based on like survey data, and I don't consider all of it like worthless or anything, but I do consider it like a less concrete and kind of less meaningful metric
than. Do you think people eat expired food out of food banks because they have access to better food?
I know there are some. I'm not saying that they're, to be clear, I'm not saying that they're.
Well, I mean, you're saying some dumb shit. I see that you probably
you understand, but you understand.
You don't understand
these things are not incompatible, right? That the median person could be getting better over time, but there's still some subset of people that are in bad conditions, right? Like these are clearly compatible with one another, right?
That subset's growing substantially since NAFTA because we lost our middle class jobs.
So I don't believe you can substantiate that, but do we like agree that?
What do you mean I can't substantiate that? Fucking, I realize you weren't alive back then.
What's your evidence for that?
But it's real easy to go back. Notice all of our big manufacturing left, all of our steel left. Everything left.
So what if
why that happened?
See, and it shuts all of you up. It shuts all of you up.
Is that all I need?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Is that all I need to do is bring a dog up to get the big screen?
Well, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, non-fan. Balderson's correct
gerbil,
about the
anything. Go ahead.
Balderson's correct about the manufacturing disappearing. Do
you agree that manufacturing output
do the job for a quarter?
It was the corporate tax rate
over to other places,
DC.
And because there's no tariffs on those goods coming in anymore, they get to send them in. And now American workers are directly trying to compete with people making $0.25 an hour. And
do you agree that?
And all the kids today are service fucking people. That's why all of a sudden actual blue collar jobs are starting to make like $100,000 a year because there's nobody left that does it. Because all you kids
that and the AI thing is getting rid of a lot of these higher service jobs, like you're saying, like the customer service in general and all these things. And like this is the whole point, like with the tariffs, is to bring back manufacturing. I pointed to some things Trump's done that's hurt beef. Yeah, sure, he's done some things that have hurt beef, like getting exports in. Oops, sorry, I don't know why I zoomed in there, but like getting exports in, like up is good. Right, like if China's going to buy a bunch of my competitors, that's going to drive cost of beef up and help increase herds. I'm not a huge fan of him importing stuff. He's kind of done a mixed bag. But so when you're saying he's not bringing manufacturing, then I can turn and look at shipbuilding increasing dramatically under Trump. Like these are actively getting manufactured. Non-fund, I disagree maybe on the globalism good versus like nationalism good for the economy portion. But like you're fighting ghosts here. It's kind of the same problem. It's like not everything is socialism. Like that's the issue I'm having with what you're saying. Like, it's like, maybe we've gotten screwed. Maybe we've gotten away from what was the American dream of not having a 3% T-tax or 4% T-tax. But like overall, I have way more. Like you have way more of your income going to California than I do in Texas, and like we're fixing to not have property tax. Like, whoa, buddy, maybe you should just start taking notes and move out of Cali. You know what I'm saying?
There ain't anywhere in this country.
Oh, sorry.
There isn't anywhere in this country where your dollar isn't taxed 50 fucking times.
I want to say Tom Carpenter already adding to the dono goal, ladies and gentlemen. You are over on the gauntlet. In order to continue after every hour, you must meet the dono goal each time. Tom Carpenter is helping to ensure you have that. He says, with the Big 20, the gauntlet has dropped. The battle continues. Fight on, brave warriors. Yes, yes. Speaking of brave warriors, I have with me backstage Da Anaconda. Now, he made his debut to the stage a week or two ago. Very deep voice and apparently very sexy, according to his avatar. But he's backstage. There is a Vin Diesel backstage who does need to do a quick cam up for me back there before I can allow him on. But those two are backstage. If you want to see either of them on, you must boot someone from the bottom half in order to make room for someone backstage. It's $10 to boot. Have fun with it. You just cannot boot any of my original panelists from the debate on the top floor. Thank you. And Mr. Tom Carper says, Balderson, quit depressing me. Gonna make me get some Tillamook out of the free. What's Tillamook?
Damn straight. Tillamook's good shit.
It's a dairy brand out of Oregon.
Wait, I thought it's Irish.
It's not as good as Strauss. Strauss is the cat's ass.
Strauss.
So
thanks.
And Gibbs, that was a leftover from me fighting with Tyler about Iran. That wasn't about socialism.
I hate Tillamook. Oh, okay.
What happened to the soul debate?
That's on the list. It's on the list. Fourth Wiseman says, wrong. Things are not vastly cheaper. Luxuries were expensive and food was cheap. Now, food is expensive and luxuries are cheap. Materialism is self-imprisonment, and this is why consumerism is pushed. 100%. Consumerism ruined everything. Thank you, Vin. I appreciate it. You can go back to Avatar if you want back there. All right. And Fourth Wiseman says, same occurred here in Australia under the Lima Agreement, whereby manufacturing was wound up locally and put offshore. No economy can survive without manufacturing outsourced. This is a fact. Fight me.
I just don't think people can substantiate the connection between like manufacturing employment decreasing or certain plants leaving and like free trade necessarily, right? Because we can look at other countries and we can look at countries that have higher tariffs or countries that have trade surpluses or even specifically trade surpluses in manufacturing. And, you know, that's not correlated with a higher or lower share of manufacturing employment. Doesn't seem to have any particular
You might be a little brain fucking dead with this. They won't pay an American $20 an hour or pay a little brown kid 25 cents a fucking hour and then ship it over here and make the difference in the profit.
Okay, so
you're a little fucking dense in the brain.
If I were to tell you that manufacturing output was increasing in the US until about 2008, would that like make you question anything? Because seemingly if they're shipping all these plants overseas, wouldn't you expect manufacturing output to decrease?
Sure, they try to, but it doesn't work out sometimes too, right? So if I start bringing some of this manufacturing back to my home country, but then I start realizing, oh, that's right, the profit margin is going down. Well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to move it all back over again. So it didn't work out.
Yeah, Trump
I don't understand how you're.
Tariffs are a good thing because then tariffs make up the difference in that price. So then American workers aren't competing with little brown kids for 25 cents an hour.
It means there's
other parts of this that I want to address, but I don't understand if you're saying like these companies are moving all their factories like offshore or whatever. Why are we like seeing manufacturing output in the U.S.? Why did it increase throughout this entire time?
Huh? You said till 2008. Wait, you said till 2008.
Until around.
And then that's when the jobs started going over, isn't it?
No,
Can you want to correlate the data?
It took them time to build the new
1994.
Okay, all right. Before we go there, Non-Fon, are you at least willing to say
anyone talking?
Are you at least willing to admit that if you decrease the trade deficit, that GDP necessarily goes up?
No, totally. You are retarded. Sorry, total mistaken. No. You're making an accounting error. You make it consumption plus investment plus government spending plus net exports. Guess what, bitch? Do you want to know why? Net exports are subtracted? Because the imports are included in the first three components of GDP. The net effective imports on GDP is zero. I will repeat.
So you have to show that consumption
anyone asks this to ChatGPT right now. Anyone asks this to ChatGPT or Grok or anything right now. The net effective imports directly, at least on GDP, is zero. The reason that they are subtracted, the reason that they are subtracted is because they are initially included in the first three components of GDP. GDP stands for gross domestic production. Domestic. It only includes things domestically. You don't want to include imports. Therefore, we exclude imports from the calculation of GDP. Okay, but when we measure consumption, we are measuring both the consumption of people domestically and from imports, right? Some imports are consumption. That's included in consumption. So therefore, we subtract net exports at the end to get rid of it because it was included in the first place. The net effect is zero. It is subtracted as an accounting.
No, that's not how it
works. Yes.
If you decrease net exports, then you may decrease consumption overseas, but domestic consumption increases.
False. No, not necessarily.
Yes.
If those goods were substitutes for domestic product, absolutely.
No.
Because what do you mean? No, the consumption.
The C part is goods produced in the United States, right? And your whole point is exports are
consumption is consumption from everywhere.
Okay, then throw investment in government too, right? So all of that.
No. Just to be clear, consumption is like the goods people buy for consumption from everywhere, right? That it includes imports.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It includes the measure for consumption and GDP includes exports. That's why you subtract at the end net exports to get rid of the already included consumption.
Oh my God.
Sounds like
you're saying, oh my God, open any econ textbook. It'll tell you this.
Yeah, I'm doing it. C plus I plus G minus net.
I've already explained this though. I recognize net exports is in the equation, or at least one equation for GDP, right? It's in the expenditure approach for GDP.
Mm-hmm.
You could equally, if you wanted to do that, like C plus S plus T is also a valid equation for GDP. You would agree with that, correct? Correct. Okay, where's net exports in that? Is net exports not decreasing GDP in that equation?
Well, no, because the idea would be is that it's possible that it could still go down if the...
You didn't say that before. You said necessarily if you decrease the trade deficit, you increase GDP. That's not true.
Right, and in order for it to not be true, is consumption, investment, and government spending would have to go down further to compensate.
What? Okay. Do you agree that imports are subtracted from GDP only because they are invisibly included in the first three components?
And that I don't see.
Okay. So what could I send you to change your mind on that? If I send you, for example, an article by PhD economists like Noah Smith?
No. I don't know.
Change your mind. How many articles do I need to send you? Because there are many economists reiterating this point because it's a common misunderstanding.
All right. Go ahead. Finish on what you're doing. I'll get back to you.
Wait. What do you mean finish out? What
He's going to look up the information.
I'm going to look it up. I don't trust biased sources, so I'm looking it up for myself.
I'm a biased source? Okay.
No,
the sources you're citing are biased.
Hey, so who here
sources I'm citing are biased?
And who here is not?
We're also a little retarded, like when you were citing this other shit where cost of living went down. It's dead on, just right on. That's some dumb shit from opening up AI. It even said cost of housings went down 30%. Holy fuck!
What? I don't know what you're. I don't know what you're looking at. I don't know what you're looking at. I don't even know. I didn't even send anything. I don't know what you're looking at.
I can get AI to tell me whatever I want it to tell me.
That's great. I didn't find. First of all, I didn't find any of this stuff through. I didn't find any of this stuff through.
Basic shit works.
I didn't find. You guys don't know how basic accounting works. Okay, I didn't find any of this stuff through AI. Number one.
Cheaper than the other.
I can have Gemini not only tell me whatever I want it to tell me, I can also have it bring up sources to provide proof for whatever I want it to tell me.
Clay, I don't think now is the time to talk. You Clay. Maybe use AI, Gemini.
I have a lot.
No, Clay.
You can talk. Absolutely, I do. Absolutely, I have a lot of fucking room to talk.
You keep doing this.
I can say anything I want to.
Okay. All right, I'll go for the money then. If you guys can't unfuck yourselves on your own, Carpenter, Tom Carpenter, our rock star over here in Mater Nation, along with Fourth Wiseman. He says manufacturing output increases equals employment increase. Any thoughts to that?
First, I do have one thought. First, it's real quick. Is maybe use Gemini to tell you the difference between socialism and a social contract. And then get back to the panel, Clay. I can. That might be helpful for you. I don't know because I've never used Gemini. I just heard of it now, but I'm assuming it'll tell you some. No, I use fucking political science books, which this whole shelf is full of behind me.
All the books
Yeah, so it's called research.
Put into
research.
Who was calling my name?
So all those
I
things
don't
that
use the
Google
AI.
has
It's
on it
called
right
research.
now is what you're
Hold
doing.
on, stop. Who was
It's
calling
quick.
my name?
That was me. It was just quick. That's bang equals. That's not equal to, not equals. Which you said it was this. You were saying was manufacturing output increases equals employment increase. He's actually saying manufacturing output increases does not equal employment increase. That bang before the equal sign means not equal to.
Oh yeah.
I agree with that, to be clear. That's my point. I don't think anything I said contradicts that. To be clear, what I'm saying is I think a lot of the decline in the manufacturing share of employment is due to general trends in productivity growth and the spillovers there across sectors. It is not due necessarily to offshoring. And part of the evidence for that is that
it's fully due to offshoring. We are all here. We all live through the fucking companies.
So part of the evidence for that is that if you look at manufacturing output within the U.S., that continued to go up until 2008. And if all these companies were just like strictly,
it took them a while to build
Obama got on the scene
elsewhere and bring in the infrastructure.
So like you think the effects of NAFTA and such were so delayed that they didn't take into
to another fucking
to be clear, under that view, you don't think there's like significant, you don't think that there was significant, you don't think that there was offshoring until 2008? Is that what you're saying?
It took them time to build up the infrastructure
until 2008.
And the buildings. Are you fucking retarded?
And manufacturing output since then has been like stagnant. It hasn't really been falling.
It took hours for the Titanic to sink.
The middle class is gone. Take your head out your ass.
It should have only disappeared in 2008. If you're saying that manufacturing output did eventually go down after 2008, why? Presumably, you think the middle class disappeared or whatever. All the factories disappeared before 2008.
Good God, brother! It took 18 years for the whole fucking ship to sink.
Banks in the car industry. Oh, that's right. The manufacturers.
Fourth Wiseman, another rock star here over at the channel, says there is a bigger picture many don't see. Also, which is if a country can't purchase your products because it cannot afford them, then outsourcing trains the other economy and trade begins. Catch 22. Motherfuckers. Okay, go ahead.
It's funny how that works.
Any thoughts on that?
Gibbs, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, as far as what he said here, the country can't produce products because it can't afford them. I mean, sure. I mean, that's part of the risk, right? You know, when you have a government that's going to put like tariffs, right? So like Trump has negotiated some deals with beef. Like one, he's expanded us into China. It looks like we're going to be selling American beef there. So we'll be importing lower tier beef from like some of these other countries and higher tier beef like it's going to be exported to the UK. Then he forced the EU to come to the table and deal with them and make like deals that are going to make sure they take a certain amount of beef and they really lower regulations that are outrageous. They have some outrageous beef regulations, stuff like this. These can be good while simultaneously he's tariffed other industries and done stuff to try to like institute changes here at home that are going to be like conducive to creating more like beef production. Right now, there are some things I'm a fan of. Like some of them I'm not, right? Like they're going after the meat packers industry, streamline, like making it so that more people are able to access packers and it's not just this like monopoly. I think that's a good thing, right? I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the import, but you know, maybe it'll help lower customer costs in the long run and probably won't affect me too much in the short term, right? So like pros and cons. So when I'm looking at what we're saying here is like, oh yeah, it's all a risk. It's like you take a risk, a gamble, and hope and see if the results pay off. And if they don't, then you change your economic tactics. However, this is not the same as saying, oh, it's socialism and everything is planned all across the board. Sometimes working in small industries to like facilitate growth in an industry is like maybe like, oh, strong hand of the government, but that's not necessarily mean it's socialist at all. And this is why I kept bringing up hybrid forms, because there is not a single instance of laissez-faire pure capitalism except maybe the pirate republic, which did not fail because of its fucking economic status. It failed because, well, they're all a bunch of fucking pirates, and they had a bunch of governments trying to hunt them down.
Ooh,
that had a lot to do with it. Yeah, hey, yeah. So check that out. Also, Windrow is great. Check it out. Play it. On that note.
All right, thank you. Back to you guys. In Alley Cat backstage, your device is disconnected, so I can't bring you back up. So I just replaced your seat with the Anaconda. Anaconda, welcome.
Yeah, welcome back. I just want to know, because I don't know what y'all motherfuckers talking about with this socialism shit. Capitalism done blessed me real nice. When I hit that motherfucker stage, money be flying like a goddamn ATM broken on that stage. They be lining up to tie me down. Motherfucking capitalism. With y'all stimulus package bullshit.
You have a manager?
Shit.
You have a manager?
I got a manager.
So
of course I got a manager.
You're not fully capitalist then.
I'm fully capitalist. You should see my bank account. When I hit that motherfucking stage, they be paying.
You don't manage yourself.
No, but you understand. But
you must not know. You must not know the motherfucking anaconda.
I do. Yeah, I know the. I know exactly what's down in my pants, my man.
You come straight through motherfucking Georgia. You gonna see exactly when you come to that motherfucking club.
I'm from fucking Georgia. What the fuck are you talking about?
You come to my club asking about motherfucking anaconda.
Why would a capitalist not have a manager?
Yeah.
Why is it that a capitalist can't have a manager?
Because Clay doesn't understand that a social contract or a contract in general is not socialism.
Right? We all have to share the road. What does it say on the signs for the bicyclists?
I asked you about a manager.
Hey, look, Mojo.
Capitalists have managers.
I'm actually back.
Not always.
Saying we should have.
Man, listen, ain't none of y'all.
This is your backup.
I don't think it should be run away.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Having a manager is capitalism. Getting rid of the manager is socialism.
Oh, I didn't know that you didn't
Bring
need
your
to sign
bitch
up
ass on that stage. You want to have a motherfucking
Oh,
dance?
I'm sorry. You just don't understand socialism and capitalism.
to be your manager.
Hold up. You are all talking at the same time, and now I really can't hear you. So I get to talk. CT Mar 10, whatever it is. I agree with Pirate Booty Gold Standard, gold back currency. Ooh, I don't know. You had me at booty. I also voted for Trump and am a fucking moron. USA, USA, USA. Shout out to CT. Any thoughts to this, gentlemen?
Yeah,
What's
being
up,
a gold bug and Trump voter and being a moron kind of go together. Those are kind of three things I would expect to go together.
Sarah, I think you're missing his hat. His hat says it all.
You're in a call.
What specific?
We really should voted for the captain hyena that wanted to give our country away. You're right.
What's wrong with precious metals or commodities backing that thing that you call the dollar? What's wrong?
No, he didn't mean that.
I think it makes it. I think it makes it a lot. It probably makes it more likely that there's going to be like significant deflation at certain times, and there's probably reasons to be concerned about the sort of issues that could lead to. And then two, I think it sort of limits the ability of central banks to respond to financial crises. In
man, this nigga sound like my parole officer.
Crises, just managing inflation becomes much harder when you're dealing with commodity.
Oh, you got a parole officer too?
Do you think you can completely get away with like having no inflation? And then also to your other point, do you think that the central bank should be able to control the currency entirely?
But
what do you think a central bank is, Clay?
Like from my pocket, right? When it goes from my pocket to the grocery store, you think that the central bank should be able to tell me how much that loaf of bread is worth? Like,
they don't set
no,
prices.
The store tells you how much.
That's what a bank does.
That's the presentation non-font gave.
No, it's not.
So first of all, I don't think necessarily just because you're opposed to the gold standard means that you have to think that the central bank should be the only one making the currency. I think you could argue for either a free banking system or a system in which at least other currencies are allowed to compete with the central bank denominated currency.
We tried that. We tried that.
I don't think
the Articles of Confederation. It didn't work very well.
I'm not super research on it, but I think but my understanding is free banking. They're not it's not particularly good or whatever. But so I think the central bank should have control over the money supply. But I just think that's dependent on essentially a country having good enough institutions so that the central bank is not is managed responsibly.
Very good. Very good. That's it. Regulation, right? Yeah, I agree. Regulation. At some point, there should be some kind of guardrail for the people so that we don't have this runaway bullshit like we did in 2008.
We didn't really have inflation in 2008, but okay.
Hey Norton, let me ask you a question, man. Did you vote for Kamala?
Car industry and the banking industry and all of
Yeah, but that wasn't. I think the central bank made errors in 2008. To be clear,
it was just a mistake. Oh, it was just a mistake. I didn't mean to take all your money. I didn't mean to take all them tax dollars and bailouts.
The central bank was not the one taking. First of all, even the tax money. The tax money is not under the control of the central bank, right? That was the U.S. Congress or whatever that did that, right? And that was all paid back.
It's just so we don't have
number one, the tax money was by Congress. They're the ones that approved it. They did pay it back. They did pay it back. So they did pay it back.
That's not the question. Should they?
What?
Have to pay it back?
In most cases, probably yeah.
Oh well, most cases, no. Every single time that they stole,
there are probably cases that I could imagine that would justify not it being not feasible to force them to pay it back.
Lefties who argue that everything should be like given to people also argue for this corporatist wealth that should be like handed out.
I think most lefties.
I don't understand that.
I think the socialists would disagree with me on this point
because they're nihilist puppets controlled by foreign powers who are hell bent on destroying Western
I think the socialists would probably might disagree with me on this point. I'm like,
can we ask
I'm a liberal, but I'm not
on the panel?
I'm not a socialist or anything. I just want to be clear. But that was money all approved by Congress, right? The TARP funds.
Socialism is just a transition from capitalism to communism.
Civics, did you ask a question?
Well, there's just like they're making arguments for what lefties would say, and there's two lefties on the panel. Why don't you ask us?
Yes, non-pon's a lefty.
I'm not a socialist. I'm a capitalist, to be clear, but
yeah, but you're still a lefty.
Non-pon is right though. That the 2008 was the Senate that approved those funds. It doesn't go to the central bank. The problem with the central bank is it's an external organization that loans us money that we have to pay back with interest, and we're not coining our own money. And when you decouple money, that was some dumbass shit he said there, was when he said that fucking money fucking attached to commodities is gonna be more subject to inflation. That about made me cry.
I said deflation. I said deflation.
Fucking
I said deflation.
The gold just backing it with gold is not feasible, but we could definitely do precious metals and other commodities that are very stable and back it very
stable. What happened? I said deflate.
They just loan us the money. They don't control it. Like
what happens when the price of gold drops?
To do that.
Alderson, if you do that, what happens when the price of gold drops?
The price of gold drops so much all the time. I've noticed. Fucking retard.
It certainly has dropped quite a bit this year.
You realize that it's more than just a commodity.
And now it came back down.
Yeah, but what happens to our economy when that happens if our currency is tied to it?
It in a couple months it went from 5,000 back down to also an all-time high right before that weird spike.
But still, what happens to our currency if it's tied to it?
Except for retarded lefties. This dumb fuck.
What happens again?
If you didn't catch that.
Holy crap! How do you get a word in here? What happens to our currency when it does drop?
Won't be a little lefty bitch.
You gotta pay a couple bucks.
Yeah, so you just keep talking. Nobody can hear what you're saying.
But so
you can. I'm muted. In all fairness, sorry, I was muted. In all fairness, it is more helpful if we can actually hear the arguing points so that we can argue back. But if we just talk over everybody, then I might as well just shut my side down, like turn my camera off, mute myself, turn on some loud music, and that'll be just as good as letting you guys yell at each other. So at least let people finish their talking points, please. Thank you. Go ahead, Mojo.
I just don't know what happens when the thing that the currency is tied to ends up dropping as well. How do you control an economy if it's tied to gold that drops, what was it, like 20%, 17%, something like that? Because that's going to have a negative effect on our economy that I'm not sure we can crawl out of.
I think the bigger concern is actually when the price of gold increases, because that leads to deflation.
Yeah, I was surprised that you went with when it goes down.
Well, that's because that's what's happened this year. But either way, you're looking at two different things: the value of the dollar and the value of the currency.
Disingenuous as fuck, like he doesn't understand the market, like it didn't spike.
Like you don't understand the
market a little, like it does.
There's also
and
not
then
enough
stay
gold.
stable for fucking ever. Because that's why it's called the gold standard. Dumbass did a fucking
Why did we move off of it?
system totally more stable. Totally. That's why we're fucking trillions and trillions.
It is more. So
Balderson, why did we move off the gold standard?
Because Woodrow Wilson made the greatest mistake that the country. Oh no, he's the one who put it ever. Fucking.
Why did we move off the gold standard in 1971?
Because we wanted to have credit and spend money we didn't have.
I was just about to say that, sir. Good job, Balderson.
Hi, Amber. Welcome back.
Hey, how you guys doing? I know I've been going rogue.
Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
I just wanted to talk about this gold standard. If our dollar was tied to it, our dollar would be worth so much because there's not enough gold to go around, G. There's just not enough.
Oh my God.
That's why we couldn't do all the things we did. We had to borrow against something, and we can't borrow against gold that don't exist, G. That's just the truth.
The genie's out of the bottle. There's not enough gold on this planet that would match the US dollar. It's gone. We can't go back.
That means the dollar would have more value, doesn't it? God,
yes,
it does.
It does. Because guess what? Hold on. Because if the dollar was tied to gold and there's not enough gold to go around, let's think about crypto. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up because there's not enough to go around. And we have to slice it into smaller and smaller pieces. And guess what happens? Things cost less because you only have $1 because you only need $1 a year because it's worth so much. You're not understanding how crypto works, and that's where we're going right now.
I understand how crypto works.
All right, that's why if the gold and dollar were tied together,
Alderson, I understand what you're saying. Just let me make this
we would have little tiny pieces of gold shavings, bro.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude! I get it, man. You don't understand how I get it. Do you know what a smart contract is? Okay, but the point is,
that's what soul uses, by the way.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Part of the reason why we moved to floating exchange rates after 1971 was also because of the fucking imperialism that we were going through. You realize that this neo-imperialist chokehold that we had over developing countries by making the Bretton Woods institutions, the World Bank and the IMF, force developing countries to take a loan in USD and pay it back in USD. And part of that agreement was also to devalue their currency. So of course it made them ingest American dollars, then pay back in American dollars. And all that was doing was making American dollars go throughout all of the developing world, right? This is part of our imperialist fucking playbook. It was in our best interest, not our best interest, in the US best interest to move to floating exchange rates. That's why.
And Tom Carpenter
and I'm not advocating for that.
Some lightheartedness in Michigan. I'm getting some feedback off somebody. Some lightheartedness in Michigan. They have highway signs that say, who the fuck am I bouncing off of? Check. Whatever. We'll pretend it's him. It's your fault, Gibbs. I hate you. Some lightheartedness in Michigan. They have highway signs that say "Do not pass" while in the presence of oncoming traffic. They need a sign like that up there. Ford Wiseman says a decent reference point to start from. To get a better understanding of economics is the postal services, i.e., how can a third world person reply to you if they cannot afford postage costs? Look into it. Any thoughts on that one?
I don't even know what that means.
That's a really long walk, G.
The postage, actually, it's funny because a friend of mine was doing a deep dive on the postal service and how that they're always needing bailouts essentially. So from the economic standpoint, we are definitely supplying not just our country with the ability to reach out and talk to people, but Yeah, I agree. Even the people out there in the third world.
I don't even
They
think
can't afford stamps in
the Postal
Switzerland.
Service. I could be wrong. I don't even think the Postal Service subsidizes any type of delivery for people that aren't U.S. citizens. Like it's like, I think if you're a U.S. citizen and like you're in an overseas military base, they'll take care of your packages and stuff for you. But I don't even think there's at least not any like subsidy people that aren't citizens get. I don't believe.
Oh no,
You don't believe it? Oh, okay.
But
that's not what
they do.
No, I was just going to say that the Postal Service is actually the only carrier that can send packages to the military when they're overseas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's military and it's federal.
Well, that's probably a good thing.
And there was, or at least there was a program. There was a program where you could get like a flat rate box to send.
What the hell?
That's been up there for a while. I was hoping you guys
Why?
Mao, Marx, Stalin, Lenin, whoever the weirdo on the right is.
It hurt.
That's Fidel.
Put it away.
Fidel.
It's Fidel. Come on.
Hey, listen.
Yeah, he's
no Che. You feel me?
I mean,
that's the world a lefty can live in right there.
Hold on. Real talk, Sarah. Look up old young Fidel, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, that guy was a handsome man."
Young Fidel. Fidel.
Well, there's a reason
assholes of the 20th century.
Well, you know what's crazy is there's been many a study, and better-looking people tend to become political leaders. Just saying, there's like a science behind this.
He kind of looks like Shia LaBeouf.
I think it depends on gender, Gibbs. Like men get away with being uglier a whole lot more than women do.
I would actually argue, at least with politics, the opposite is true. You would look at like Margaret Thatcher. You would look at somebody like many of the queens of like England and whatnot. They relied on their bloodline and despite their looks, right? So like I would argue the opposite for women is true because they take it as a more manly quality where they're like more like not like traditionally attractive. There are exceptions like Cleopatra and some others, but I think traditionally.
I think your examples are the exceptions, not the other way around.
So, I'm just gonna hop off here. I just wanted to say
we can talk about that.
Hold on. I just want to say goodnight and thank you, everybody. It was a lively debate.
Very fun.
Gibbs, you might have rekindled my love for hookah. I think I might dust it off.
Hey, there you go.
Good night.
Thank you for the debate. Have a good night.
That was a wonderful time. Again. Can't wait to get you back on for some more.
I'm always happy to join in. Thank you guys.
Yeah, feel free to add me on Discord or whatever you want to do some more debate stuff in the future.
Yeah, I was gonna say also reach out to me because I didn't get to talk to you about socialism at all. Okay, we can set something.
For sure. I
really got to dig into it.
I'm mostly on TikTok. My TikTok is my same name. I'll put it in in our chat here.
And I can actually connect Civics. I can connect you with Gibbs, and I can connect you with Non-Fun on both Discord, and then you guys can carry it from there.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you just look up Civics Toolkit, I'm on YouTube and on TikTok. That's usually where.
Yeah, I think I followed you on TikTok.
Right? I actually want to brainstorm with Non-Fun. This guy, he seems like he has a few things in his head.
Good night, Civics.
Seem like what?
Before anyone else kicks off, Doc Farm says with a big 10, capitalism is the superior system. We couldn't have Coconut Island without it. What is Coconut Island?
It's an analogy for
like a Vosh thing.
Exploitation of labor.
Yeah.
It's a hypothetical where some guy crash lands on an island, and the person that inhabited the island there already had collected all the coconuts on the island. And that was the only thing possible in the coconut. So his argument is that it wouldn't be fair for that person to work for the person that was there first for a wage, that eventually he should get ownership of the coconut.
Yeah, the fuck it would. So the first person already went through the work efforts to go collect all of the coconuts, right?
Well, okay, maybe.
Maybe yes or no.
The argument is he could own all the trees, but he still needs labor to go get the coconuts.
The argument it's a I don't fully agree with it or anything, but the argument is about how even like voluntary contracts can be coercive because it telling you that it's typically like the guy woke up before you through just random luck and then collected all the coconuts on the island, and it's the only possible thing to eat on the island. If you don't have the coconuts, you'll die. And then the guy says, I'll give you some coconuts if you suck my dick, right? So it's supposed to be kind of an intuition pump behind, even if that's like to some degree voluntary, right? It's not like truly voluntary because you have no other option. You're going to die otherwise, and they can ask you to do whatever they want.
Okay, but this I would say falls into like a forced doctrine, right? You want me to suck your dick in order for me to have a coconut. Well, I happen to have a gun and you don't, right? Poof, right? But even at that, if I did the work, if I woke up first and I went and collected all the coconuts and I did all of the work to get it, then I'm a use that coercive plan as well to get whatever I want because I did the work for it. I harnessed it. I went and collected all of the coconuts. Now, if I wake up earlier and the other person wakes up like an hour later and they see I'm collecting coconuts and they say, okay, well, I'm going to go collect coconuts too. Well, go get your ass to work too.
The problem with what you're saying though is like the way I've seen the Coconut Island problem framed. It's like a hypothetical. This is the island, right? Mm-hmm. Is that it's a circular island. It's like 100 feet wide, and there's one tree that provides coconuts, and that tree we both fell out of plane, totally bare, right? So we're both starting at zero, and I land, and my side lands has got the coconuts, and your side doesn't. Now, if you want to keep living, it's coercive for me to go, hey. If you don't eat this, if you want a coconut, this half the island's mine. You got 50%, I got 50%. It's just random luck of the draw. I got it. It's coercive that I could force you to, like, if you want to keep living, suck my dick. That's kind of the way that's framed. Now, I think it's a dishonest framing of a problem. Like, that's like not a real world applicable. That's why it's a thought exercise. Like, it's like they built a construct where it's like guaranteed to make something look bad. Would you agree with that, non-fun? I think that's kind of the way it's, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Like it.
It's not like all these other, other factors.
This is what makes the Wild West the Wild West, right? I don't have to suck your dick. I can bite it off, right? And then who's going to be worried about living at that point, right? This is again, that's where that forced doctrine would come into play. Where like, hey, if I have access to the one and only coconut tree and you don't, if I can utilize coercion to ensure my safety and ensure I get a step up or something, then I get it. But if you don't like my tactic and you have a bigger force or something else that might come into play, well, then you can kick my ass there. So I don't know. Like, I hear what you're saying and I understand the thought process, but at the same time, this is where that force doctrine would really lock in on it.
Well, but yeah, there's a simpler solution. Just learn how to fucking fish.
But well, here's the thing, right? So now I can go hungry for a day, but can you not sleep after a hard day of work? Now, the answer typically to that hard day of work, you need some rest, right? So man's got to sleep at some point. And at some point, I might just come and take your coconuts and off you.
Clay, get out of my head, bro. Because I'm just going to be like, all right, you good, bro. Do you think?
That's the force doctrine side of it. But let's say that instead of going to the force doctrine, you and I can sit there and come to a social agreement where we share the coconuts. And that, my friend, is the most beneficial, the most appropriate way to handle this situation. But everybody wants to go to the capitalist only argument when they don't realize that you got to have some type of both. We both want
a lot of water.
We both want to live. So
we live together. You had it spot on. The problem is it's a disingenuous situation. Like, again, you can learn how to freaking fish. To assume that coconuts are the only food supply that are around is a ridiculous assumption.
You gotta assume that string is available.
I don't.
Or add-on.
I'm fine with it as a stand-in for.
But you understand, the point of the hypothetical is merely to demonstrate that a supposedly voluntary relationship can be.
There is never a case where there are no options. That's the problem.
I didn't hear you, non-fun.
The point is just to demonstrate that at least theoretically, there's like a voluntary transaction that could still be coercive. That's the one I have. That's all it's like trying to demonstrate.
Yeah.
Just so I don't have to hurt anybody on the island, I'm just gonna cut all the trees down and build a raft. Hey, grab those coconuts. Let's get out of here. Right?
I like this is the problem. Like whenever we this is why like you're all doing the thing, which is like we start applying all these other like like situations to it. Like I could bite their dick off. Like I could do all this other shit. Like this is not bad shit. I agree, it's a stupid problem and a thought exercise. But it's like the point is like who makes laws, right? Like if you're gonna have the laws, like okay, there's 2 people on an island, there is no law, right?
Whoever's the strongest makes the law.
The strongest, like right, like and what is strength? What is force? Like this is what God makes right. Like if I have sexual needs, you know, maybe I do open myself up to like getting my dick bit off. However, if I'm like a eunuch, well, guess what? That's real bad for you because you ain't gonna be able to bite what's already been cut off. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all situational. Like, you know, I just like that's why it's like I like really hate these thought exercises like that. I much prefer like logic problems. But yeah, I that's kind of the point. I think y'all are going too far into like, oh, what about this and what about that? I don't know.
I mean, I
don't think it's realistic. Okay. I don't think it's a realistic.
Yeah, like, sure.
To say, oh well, we can and Gibbs, I think you might be on the wrong mic, but to say, oh, I'll utilize coercion in order to restrict you access to these coconuts, and use those as leverage, like, but that like. I have to be allowed to have leverage back or figure something. My option is not to only just be coerced and only be submissive to your leverage. And no human would do that. Now, if you're in a situation where you have absolutely no options possibly, but in that survival mode circumstance, you are literally in survival mode. And that coercion piece of I'm going to hold the coconuts unless you X, Y, and Z, like when people are put in that position, they're going to do it. We all read Lord of the Flies, right? Like we all read that. We all know that survival's a crazy thing. And I don't think it's realistic. Now, if I'm at home and in a cushy environment and I'm signing on for a job that you may say, oh, it's coercive for me to get paid this low wage in order to work. But again, I still have option. It's not the only thing here. It's like unrealistic, even as a hypothetical that's meant to be unrealistic. It's completely unrealistic.
So then take it to the bigger scale.
Yeah. By the way, Tyler, just real quick, Tyler wants to know if you can remove him because he's not live no more. You didn't know how to do it.
Oh, I didn't know he was still on there. My apologies.
I got you, Tyler.
He's like, you guys are talking about dicks and shit.
Get out. He wants to be on that.
Didn't do it, Tyler.
Gibbs is giving non-fauna credit.
Let's go.
I mean, like nobody's having to boo people as much.
Capitalism, baby.
But I would gladly accept the credit. But if anyone wants to try to boot Tyler, non-fun, it's gonna cost you extra. And Fourth Wiseman says, fuck your goal. Congratulations to chat. You're just knocking out these goals like it's your job. Oh, wait, it is. Shout out to you. All right, back to you guys.
I wanted to talk about this capitalism thing, okay? Now, there's a difference between capitalism where, there's competition and there's different people having the same ability to start a company and have access to the same amenities that creating that company would make. Is that capitalism? Or are we missing something? Is there a competition here? Each individual person can do their own thing and have the amenities to do that?
Yeah, Gibbs would say that that's still capitalism, but what I've told Gibbs times and time again is that access part is in part socialism. So he's going to want to come to the table to make sure that his tax dollars.
Wait a minute, Clay. Okay, hold on. Let me ask you something, Clay.
All that shit? Really? No, I'm giving my explanation. And can I do that at all? No, I can't. Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask you something, so that way it doesn't get veered off. So what is socialism to you? What is socialism?
Well, so socialism, according to the guys that were here before.
No. Your opinion is socialism, not anybody else's. What is it?
Just us sitting down to an agreement. The idea of the ism, as in if it's just a fucking thought, right? It's an ism. It's what you and I agree to socially. We come to an agreement that this is how we're going to operate in the world. That's really
like the Constitution could be considered
this weird
socialism
extra stuff. And the capitalists will say the same thing on their side. They'll say, "Oh, it's just me owning things." But then when I say that socialism is just us agreeing to things, then they say, oh, no, it can't be just that, as they literally do the exact same thing with capitalism.
Okay. So by your logic, by your logic, every contract is socialism.
Sure. Absolutely.
No, it's not.
Makes no sense at all. Then
That's the reason why I asked.
What is a free market?
That's why I asked the hard question, Clay.
Thank you, guys.
Is the Constitution considered as socialism according to your theory?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's not. You're confusing a social event with socialism.
Clay, let him talk.
Is the Constitution capitalism?
It's not.
Okay, then what is it?
It's a agreement for people on how they want to run the country.
Society.
Okay, what is that?
Yeah. Socialism.
It's a societal contract.
Yeah. What is it? Society?
It's not. Just because something is social, again, going over to your neighbor's house for tea is social. Going over to your neighbor's house for tea is social. That's socialism.
I won't lie, Clay cooked you.
Not everything that's social is socialism, dude. That's the dumbest mistake ever.
Clay doesn't even know the categories we're talking about.
I'm not trying to profit anything from my neighbor except a valuable conversation.
Oh, but it's social. It's socialism.
So
it's social. It's socialism.
Or is it socialism?
Dumb fucking argument, dude.
And now we go to the legality, right? So when we're talking about politics, we're talking about legality, right? If we're talking about politics, literally policy, right? Policy, as in the law. Socialism or capitalism. What the fuck is the Constitution, dude?
Why does a government system have to be an economic system?
Because all government systems are economic systems for the people or not for the people, probably for the king, maybe. A dictator. You have two choices. Divine right of the king or the social contract. That's the only two things in history, dude. And oligarchy is just another form of social contract.
There is no utility in broadening the definition of socialism.
The logic is cooking right now, Clay.
I was gonna say, is there any by this standard? Is there any country ever that has not been socialist?
I know exactly what Locke's theories are about. It's about either we can come to the table together and come to an agreement, or I can have you work for me. That's one.
I think a monarchy is not socialism. I think a monarchy is a different kind of thing.
This is the only option.
Yeah, it's not socialism.
So there's your example. A monarchy is not socialism. There you go.
Right.
It's not.
Oh, but it's a social system.
Yeah.
No, it's not. No, it's not. If you do what this guy tells you, or you die.
You can have a constitutional monarchy, right? There are currently.
I just want to say one thing real quick. After all that tirade, that was real impressive. I'm glad that I went and got my undergrad in poli-sci with a minor in history and went to the Bush Presidential Library and specialized in political theory, modern, ancient, just to learn. Now my certificate in political theory, on modern political theory, is worthless because I didn't understand John Locke after that enlightening explanation of what John Locke's second trustees and all of his other works are. Boys, y'all heard it. That is John Locke 101.
Hey, that's how they get you. And you paid a lot of money for it, too.
Man, listen, it is worth it. I'm glad I went to school, boys. We learned all about it in school.
I hope you finally got out of debt, bro.
I never was in debt. I worked all the way through.
Because your education brought you here.
I've never had any loans. I've never had no loans. Either Public Gibbs paid his way. Public Gibbs got no school debt. Get you some, bitches. Capitalism for the win.
Y'all.
Determining whether ice cream socials or socialism was not on my bingo card for tonight's conversation.
Did you like?
That's how they get you. The Boston Tea Party socialism.
Hold on. Did you like my poll that said, when are we having the ice cream party?
No,
it all fits. It all fits.
You know, ice cream is awesome and it's very rare. Like back in the olden days, it's hard to get ice cream. Think about that.
Well, I mean, that's because they didn't have.
So, I was. This is funny you bring this up. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but this is such an important thing, right? Part of the reason the Germans they figured out they were going to lose the war is they figured out the logistics, and then this was echoed on the Pacific front. And one of the prisoners of war said, "Oh, what are you eating?" to like one of his captors, and he said ice cream. And the U.S. he told them, "Oh, the U.S. is ice cream dedicated making ships out in the fleet right now, dedicated to making ice cream for our soldiers while we're out in the middle of World War II." When we're like arguably not like winning the Battle of the Pacific, right? And that's when the Japanese soldier said he knew, I think it was a pilot actually, he said he knew that they were going to lose because if they could build ice cream ships for their people, then there's no hope that they would ever be able to outproduce them. And guess what? You know why that is? Capitalism. And it's not a social construct that's just that means socialism, right? It's there's a reason economic.
Can I ask you a question about
Germany
capitalism
was
and socialism?
We came in at the very end and took all the credit.
Well,
Germany
not against Japan. We solely beat Japan.
Russia defeated. Well, more specific, the land of Russia defeated Germany.
Yeah, I mean Japan was
Civic theater was all us.
Yeah, and then we still handed out the whoopings in mass.
Oh, we whooped Japan. Oh,
Japan got coerced.
Japan was the stronger power than Germany, arguably by some metrics. Like I
they got coerced.
In fact, they were the harder person to fight. Like I don't know what your point is.
Japanese Zero is one of the best fighters of World War II.
Yeah, if we're talking about engineering, they both have really good engineering. But
I'm talking about performance in terms of like what it costs to put it on the air and how much it was able to.
Yeah, their naval power and their island strategies were real good.
Yeah, we had to learn to catch up real quick.
Yeah, but America.
Admiral Gibbs, right?
Yes,
I can ask you this question about capitalism and socialism. I feel like these two things are getting conflated because when we're talking about the actual country,
you're 100% correct.
When we're talking about the country and the way our country is, ours is a democratic republic. This is a totally different situation than the socialism. But we can't call it socialism because now we're getting into an economic term. We have to call it communism.
No,
because that's what it is.
No. This is why I don't know when you got here.
As a government structure, the communists have socialist tendencies, right?
No. Let me explain the way you're confused. Right?
Or am I tripping?
I think you're just like it's gonna sound like rude, but I don't mean.
You're just like look. When we're talking about capitalism, we're talking about money. Period. Not a company, not a country, not a government. We're talking about money.
This is why. So when I set up this debate, I wanted to include the governmental aspect, and our opponent said, "No, I want to only talk about the economic forms of government." And so we got into this. And part of why, in my opening, I guess like you might have came in late. I'll forgive you for it. You should watch everything I say. But the point is, for my opening, I said basically, "Hey, listen, there are forms of capitalism." I listed some very like known forms, like one of them being laissez-faire capitalism, which maybe, like I said, the Pirate Republic is the only true example of that, right? Or maybe libertarian, I don't know. But then we're going to sit here and talk about like, other signs, hybrid forms of capitalism, which are like capitalist or proto-capitalism, where you have forms of government that are very strong hand, like the Roman Empire, or they have some social, or now what we call socialist tendencies. This doesn't make those governments socialist. Just because they have government intervention doesn't make socialism. Socialism is like specifically defined as government owning the means of production and et cetera, et cetera. There's a whole list of things that make it socialist. Just because you have some things that might be like somewhat socialist in nature doesn't make you socialist. This is where like there's a big confusion by a lot of these people. This is why a social contract is not.
Okay, so explain how communism fits in with all this.
Communism is a transitionary form of socialism or Marxism.
So it is socialism.
Yeah. So it also they use it. Marx uses it interchangeably. There are other people that want to say that it's not. It is. But like fundamentally, I would argue that they are the same thing, or they're basically very.
That's
very
what
similar.
I just said.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah.
I was just saying when we're talking about countries, right? We're talking about republic, democracy, or monarchy versus communism. Those are that class. But when we're talking about like socialism versus
but you can have hybrid forms of all that. Like
now we're getting into economic terms is what I'm saying.
But if you look at like North Korea, North Korea's Juche.
Can't hear you, Clay.
Juche is like a hybrid of monarchy, basically dictatorship, like fascism, and with socialism with some like religious aspects, basically. And that's Juche, but it's still socialist. But they like it takes some of these other forms. Like you can have these different forms of socialism, Maoism, Leninism, Stalinism, and you can have all these different forms, but they're still socialist at its core. I think is the key difference between what I'm
Gibbs.
saying.
So you're just stripping away the meaning of socialism when
I'm
actually
not.
name those other things.
You had it
It's the opposite. It's the opposite of what you're saying. I like socialism.
Socialism leads to communism, not the other way around.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I apologize for. Yeah, what I'm saying with socialism is there's a key defined characteristics. One of them being XY, like was the government owning the means of production. Right. This is like every socialist country to be considered socialist has this in them. Right. Like or communist. Right. These are.
Didn't those guys just define it as the workers owns the means of production? Now you're saying it's
and
government?
That's what socialism
and I rejected that outright. I rejected that outright multiple times and gave based evidence going up to Merriam-Webster, Black's Law. Like, hold on. Well, I don't accept the definition because their words mean something. Right?
But they're the socialists, not you.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying that socialism versus capitalism is economic terms. And democracy versus communism is their terms when you're talking about the government.
This would be like
I don't think there's a single. I don't think there's like one single permissible definition or one single like all-encompassing definition. But generally, like socialism, I think people take as meaning like collectivized or social ownership of a means of production, and that can apply both to like the government directly owning it or worker co-ops, for example, people more directly owning
I see.
There are agreed upon things.
I don't know if Gibbs would. I don't know if Gibbs would, but like if the government said that every single company has to be a worker co-op, I think it's fair to consider that like a socialist economy at that point.
Ooh, that would change the game, y'all. That would change the game.
That would be
so non-fun. The government directing the economy. That would become a command economy.
Central, exactly.
So who are the
but it wouldn't be, but like individual firms' decisions would not be made by the government. The government would just be mandating that they be worker co-ops.
Exactly.
The same way the government
this is something I was saying on my channel too.
Yes, I have a question for you. Who are the workers in the United States? Who are the workers in the United States?
Whoever turns on the lights, man.
Are they in the United States and are they working? That makes them
anybody of working
workers.
age, right? Anybody of working age is a
gas
worker.
station, anywhere,
They're
bro.
not working.
Not necessarily.
I want to hear Gibbs's answer. Who are the workers?
Well, the workers are, that's all the things you said. Plus, they're actually working. You can be of all those things and still not be a worker.
Right. So those
you can't do that under socialism. Everybody's a worker under socialism.
So the voters, essentially, right? All of the voters would naturally be workers. Naturally.
I don't know. Right? I know some people that vote that don't got jobs.
I just said no. Yeah, no, that would not mean that.
So
hold on. You can be a non-citizen and work in the United States too, and they don't get a vote. There's all sorts of holes with your premise.
But are the voters workers?
The voters?
No,
it depends.
Not always.
Are you trying to refer to?
Not every voter has a job that works.
As soon as you turn 18, you can vote, Clay, and you might not have a job at McDonald's yet.
Voters have the option to work in the United States.
Yeah, but workers only applies to those working.
The voters are workers.
No, they're not. They are essentially not. Because listen, you can be a worker. Hold on, you can be a worker and a non-citizen and not vote. You can be a person who never votes, and then you can still vote. There's all sorts of holes with your premise. Just because they fit some of these.
Right? The voters of Texas, okay, all those
would
people
be
who can
people
vote,
of legal age that work and go vote.
Clay, can I ask you a question? When you were in middle school, did you take like the basic social studies classes or government classes? Did you pay attention in those classes, or were you too busy dicking around?
I paid attention.
Doesn't show.
Dicking around.
I love you so much, Clay, but sometimes I think your understanding, and I don't expect everyone here to be an expert in every topic, and you join for a lot of topics, and I think that's good. But I think your understanding of like the basic social studies government like pieces, or particularly like the economics, because I know we had an issue with the monopoly conversation, we had an issue with the capitalism conversation, the understanding of between socialism and social constructs. I think it would help if you kind of like went and did a 101 in those arenas and have a better foundational building for it, so that when you are trying to have these conversations with the others, I think it'll help you expand even more in those general areas.
I mean, I feel like I'm pretty well versed in it. I might not know every detail, but I know some basic concepts that would make sense, right? So, like, for instance, profit, right? So if I want something from you, right, and you have something that, or I have something that you want, right? So we have two options here. Either we can sit down and discuss what we want and come to an agreement, or we can just try to take it from each other, right? So those are the two options. This is just reality. Like, there are no other options in reality. So I'm trying to understand how you can separate that out into these.
Well, you bring a profit, and that, I think that's
hold on. I'm trying to understand it from Sarah's point of view. Okay, so I'm trying to understand how it is that there's all these other extra things out here that basically, in my mind, people are trying to obfuscate from the basic reality, which is that we can either discuss it or we can just try to take it from each other.
No, there's a third option. Hold on. Okay, I'm sorry, Ali. I got to say something because this is important. The profit aspect, right, is really key to this, and this is a part of why socialism or not socialism, right? So, say I am a country, and I'll use Texas, right? I think Texas is a state. We are a state, right? And so, what we've done in Texas is because we make so much money from oil. They tax the oil, and it's profit driven, and that goes, hey, if we have an educated workforce in Texas, that's going to increase money in Texas, right? And so it's not like we're giving this social program out of the own volition of our heart. The reasoning for why they provide this social program is important. And since we're making a profit, we're allowing ourselves a social safety net. And this is fundamentally different than socialism, which would go, for the greater good, each according to their own or whatever. Right, like I'm sure I butchered that expression, but where they sit here and provide this, regardless of whether or not it's beneficial, because they deemed it beneficial, whether or not it's profitable. See, there's a key difference in there in how the social programs are paid for and applied. That's a key aspect of this as well, and we didn't really dive into that much during the main debate. And I wanted to get that out now. And I'm sorry, Ali, I know you were saying something.
No, that's fine. I was just going to say Clay is completely throwing out the third option. They could both walk away.
That's fine too. I'm okay with that one as well.
Or the other person can go make their own.
Or you can both benefit.
Walk away.
Or you can both benefit.
So the walk away is another option, but it's still not discounting that there's only two options for us to getting the profit.
There's totally more than there's. You just described three.
No.
It's not. It's not.
No, you're saying no. How?
Well, let him explain.
Here's the thing. Right. If I don't come to the table to make an agreement with you and I don't take your shit and you don't take my shit, then the shit that you have and the shit that I have don't get to the other hand. So that other option is a moot point. It's bullshit.
Now
there's no option there.
So let's go back to your idea.
To get the profit I want.
No. Let's go back again. You're leaving out the other one.
What do you think? Want is the
Let him talk, Clay.
Clay, what is profit? Explain
the shit
profit.
You have that I want.
Okay, no, that's not it at all. Okay, if I have
I didn't realize that was not the profit. The profit is the shit you have that I want.
You shut up and listen for a minute. He'll tell you.
Okay,
I'm waiting, but you keep interrupting, saying no, it's not. No, it's not.
Hold on.
I'm not saying anything, Ant.
Hold on. This is another good learning format. If everybody can operate under that model. So, go ahead, Ali.
If there's a bunch of lumber trees around, one person can chop them down, cut them up, and make a log cabinet. Is that profitable for the person to do so?
Sure. Why? Why not?
Okay, it didn't require trade with another person now, did it?
Sure it did. Yeah, absolutely.
No, it didn't. He did it all by himself.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Oh my God.
Here's how. And you want to know how, or just you're going to say, no, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Somebody else can explain it.
You want to actually ask a fucking question.
Oh, we've been trying to do it, Elliot. It just doesn't penetrate.
It's not your question.
Take me.
Leave nothing.
Hey,
you're not even getting anything to this. You just keep saying, no, it's not.
Well,
because you think these are true.
I don't understand where you're getting. I don't understand.
Go ahead, Non.
I have no clue where you're getting the understanding of basically any of this stuff from, because you should at least be able to recognize. Do you at least recognize that essentially all the words you've used, like, people just do not define these words in the same way as you ever. Like
capital is profit, right? Am I missing something?
Do you think that the common understanding, or like the general understanding of what the word?
Hold on, Clay. Nobody is trying to hurt you right now. Non-fun is trying to take a very sincere approach to this and trying to further elaborate on it. Okay.
Yeah, I think. Do you recognize that like the common understanding of the word socialism and the common understandings of the word capitalism and the common understanding of the word profit is just not what your understanding of the word is? Do you recognize that almost nobody else uses these words in the same way you are?
No, I don't recognize that.
So why do you think if you look up the definition of socialism, basically every website is going to tell you something along the lines of the collective ownership and means of production, or the government ownership and means of production, or stuff along those lines? Why do you think none of them are going to say what you say?
I don't have a problem with that.
But so do you think that the fact that your definition is different from what all these other websites, what everyone else is saying?
Can I get at something? I think Clay was trying to lean
of your definition.
One at a time. Go ahead now, Bob.
Very basic definition.
But don't you think that definition is very different from your definition, right?
No.
What was your definition? You described any type of social relation as socialism. That is not what people understand socialism to mean.
So the socialism that you're talking about is an economic, political, governmental system that has been applied to the word. Socialism itself can be defined very simply.
That's not what, but when...
It's a political system. When you put it into the realm of a political system, yes,
I agree with you. People don't understand it. I don't know why you make that distinction. Nobody else is like making this distinction or doing that. That's not the common understanding.
You don't know why not ask? This is what I keep telling you guys. If you have a question, ask non-fun.
Okay, why are you using a proprietary definition of socialism that nobody else understands this word to mean?
Because people don't understand that liberals try to change the meanings of words so that they can activate some type of political.
This was never the definition of socialism.
That definition goes back to Marx.
You keep because liberals want to change the meanings of basic words to implement some type of political ideology. Okay. That's why.
This is never the definition of socialism.
Can I read the definition from Webster's dictionary?
Stop. Here's what I'll point out for you, Clay, and this is why non-fun is maybe kind of tapping into this. If you enter a debate, everyone that enters the debate understands the words typically colloquially, right? The generally understood definition of these words. If somebody has a completely new definition, everyone either has to agree to use that definition or we're not going to have the conversation at all. You are coming in with a completely different understanding and definition of what this is, and you're trying to make arguments with people who don't even accept your definition, which is different from the colloquial understanding of socialism and so on and so forth. Does that make sense?
And I also already read the Webster's definition.
Hold on. But this is what makes it very hard sometimes for others to engage with you, because if you're coming in on a different definition, trying to argue something that nobody else accepts that understanding of it, then we're not having a conversation that's on the same ground.
What I noticed too was that was the exact thing that happened in the debate. So Gibbs and his partner were unable to come to an agreement on a basic definition, where the socialism guys were giving him a definition, and Gibbs was like, "Nope, that's not."
They had to.
Hold on. That is not true. Instead of fucking talking over me, let me fucking respond. God damn.
Well, give someone else a chance to talk.
Well, yeah, I was having a conversation with me. Do you mind? And,
hold on. They weren't defining. They were defining.
I'm fucking talking.
Clay. They were defining like pseudo. Was it pseudo?
It was proto-capitalism is what I defined. Yeah. I described capitalism and I defined socialism. Not only did I find socialism one way, and my partner defined it the same way, I also went further and defined it additional way, which was the Merriam-Webster's dictionary definition, so that it was even simpler. I went into more detail, and what's his name said the exact same definition. So me and my partner had the same definitions, and then I even granted more to the opponents to help them out and
have more definitions of socialism to be able to be included. So if anything, I included their definitions, and the reason why I rejected my Mojos was because it was not the colloquially agreed upon that all these different types have backing for.
2 hours of that. So now here I come,
and now we're doing it again.
There's actually an even simpler definition that you could probably go by. Come to some sort of
but it's not a correct definition. Just because it's simple doesn't mean it's correct.
Hold on.
No, social contracts are not socialism.
Stop. Here's the problem, though, Clay. Here's the problem. You are trying to have arguments with everyone else on panel who do accept the colloquial understanding of socialism, and you are trying to insert your new definition while they're trying to answer to the colloquial understanding. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So your understanding is so like skewed in a weird way that when they're answering it, they're answering as if it was to the colloquial understanding, and you're not accepting it because your definition is so skewed that it wouldn't make sense to you.
Let's go with their definition of socialism. And when I say their, the colloquial or Gibbs, and not Mojo's. Not Mojo's definition, because Mojo's definition wasn't the same. So let's go with the colloquial definition. Well, in that case, guess what? I'll go with socialism is bad. But if I go with the colloquialism of capitalism, according to the socialists, then I'm going to go capitalism is bad. It's all fucking bad because it's these ideologies that are in people's fucking heads instead of just being a fucking man, go get a goddamn job and be happy. People aren't fucking happy because they consider their politics religion. I said it from the very beginning. It's a religion.
All right, I'm just going to do this one more time because I think it's necessary.
Gibbs, can I take a swing at this?
Sure, and then if not, then we're going to do something. Yeah, I don't.
All right. So where the breakdown's coming in, Clay, is after the part where we've made a social contract to work with each other in some manner. Now there's subcategories of how that functions. And when you're talking about socialism, let's say there's two of us, and with the coconut thing, and the other guy, he doesn't have anything. Well, in the socialism, both guys get to just take all the coconuts, which in a very simplistic way, that's just fine. Now, in a more realistic sense, I have cows. I have to take care of my cows. I have to milk them. I have to feed them. My milk has a certain value. So if your thing is just coconuts that you picked off of a tree, now there's a difference in exchange. And so this is where capitalism comes in, is you can either do more work and get more stuff, or you can choose not to work at all. It's really up to you. Where in socialism, you're all going to share everything equally, but they're also going to expect you to work equally. So that's part of why it says workers own the means of production, meaning you don't get a choice now in whether you can work harder or work less. And that's really where this separation starts coming in. And so that's one side saying we're recognizing discrepancies and taking risks, putting in investments, things like that, and let a person choose his destiny. The other side says we are a Borg that needs to provide for the whole, and the whole will make the decisions.
I want to add. All right, one thing. We're just going to use Merriam-Webster. This is capitalism, right? The definition. I feel like Merriam-Webster is a pretty general that everybody can accept. That's the colloquial. An economic system characterized by private or corporate ownership of capital goods, by investments that are determined by private decisions and prices, production, and the distribution of goods that are determined mainly by competition in a free market. All right, this is Socialism by Merriam-Webster. I'll read it again. Any of the various egalitarian, economic and political theories or movements advocating collective or government ownership and administration of the means of production and distribution of goods. All right, and it keeps going. You can look at the second definition.
Can I say something about the definition you just said, Gibbs? Because I have the definition in front of me, and I feel like they changed it a lot. This is from 1996, Webster's New World Dictionary and Thesaurus. I got socialism right here. I've been waiting to say it.
He's not doing capitalism, he's doing capitalism, I thought.
Well, I just did capitalism. I just did socialism now. Then, go ahead, hit me with the 96.
Yeah, socialism, this is what the original meaning. We all know this one, right?
I don't know about the original.
Theory, yeah, a theory by which the means of production and distribution are owned by society rather than individuals. That's number one. Number two,
that's the
a
government.
political movement for establishing such a system. So Clay is not wrong.
No, that's those words those are synonyms for the.
Those are the specific words.
You understand society would mean if you have a society, right? Then you have a government that runs said society. So therefore, the society owning the means of production in this context is the government.
It depends on your government and it depends on your society. Because if the people like us out here, the Democratic Republic, the government answers to
we're a constitutional republic, not a democratic republic.
Oh, they changed it now?
I didn't
Constitution,
change it.
What?
We are a constitutional republic.
We've always been a constitutional republic.
We have a constitution.
We are a constitutional
right.
republic.
That's what defines us as the constitutional
system. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The
person you gave a great explanation. I loved that. You actually differentiated from the small to the big, and what I'm saying actually is that when it gets to the big, all of a sudden it becomes something else. Now, in socialism, from what I understand, it's according to ability. So when people are saying according to, that just workers and everybody just has to work. No, that's not actually what socialists say. And that's not what socialism says. It's according to ability. So like, for instance, Spin, right? Spin cannot get up out of his wheels. He just can't. And so the socialist system would recognize that and maybe give him a menial task, right? Like entertaining the folks as he does. That's actually what socialism does.
Okay. So Steelman and Clay, I think a lot of issue that we're running into is that, again, like I initially made a delineation between economic and political systems, and Clay was immediately political systems are economic. And I think that that's a big part of it, is the fact that the economic and the political systems get so intertwined, especially like even Marx does this, right? Like Marx is like, what is Marxist communism? Is stateless classless society. Like that's totally a government system. It's not even, it's like anti-government system. It's a completely organization for society. And he says to get there, you need to go through socialism. And so therefore he's kind of throwing government in there. Now, classical ideas.
Isn't the subtitle of Capital is a critique of the political economy, right?
Right. Okay. So that was the other point I wanted to make too, is that capitalism is actually invented around the same time as a slur. It was literally capitalist pig, capitalist dog, right? The word that was used before was free market, right? And that isn't a government structure. It's a
something different.
System. Okay.
Free market?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can have a free market in communism. You can have a free market in socialism, right?
No way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
How? If everyone has to pull their weight and do everything collectively, how would I be able to go start a business if they're busy having me do something for someone else?
I got this.
Okay, go ahead. Go for it. Yep.
We have to come together for that idea. So us, like, you know how the companies have unions or whatever? You can't unionize something.
Then it's not free.
I'm saying, like, as a union.
I don't even want to hear the rest
right?
of it. When you had me at, we have to come together in order for me to do a business or do something on my own. We have to come together. Then it's not free. It's not a free market. And I don't mean free as in $0.
One thing.
What?
To be a free market, you have to be able to voluntarily enter and exit the market.
Yep.
If you are in a command economy, then you don't have a say in entering and exiting the market. It's all up to the governing body, whether that's the people or a political body.
Which is full-blown capital.
As is the distribution of said goods. In a free market, I'm free to make a profit. In command, in the others, it doesn't matter how much you sold or how much you did. Everything goes into the pool and it gets divided out from there. They decide according to your needs what you get.
Right, that's full-blown.
I think generally, when socialists say you can still have like a free market or whatever, what they're referring to typically is they want some type of when they want to socialize the economy, whatever, they're referring to either having a bunch of worker co-ops or having like the sovereign wealth fund own companies, but the companies themselves are still engaging in a market system in so far as they like
trade.
You know, they have to pay prices for their inputs to other companies. The companies are still like in competition with each other. It's just that either, you know, all these companies are owned by the workers and like controlled by the individual workers at the firm, or they're owned by a like sovereign wealth fund. But
you can structure your companies like that under capitalism. Like you can structure a company like that now.
Yeah.
Somebody got to buy into the company.
Spirit Airlines right now is trying to co-op. It actually by people, they're trying to co-op it like the Green Bay Packers style. Right now, Spirit Airlines is trying to do that. You can still co-op. You can still be collective in what our system that we have right now. But if you only allowed collective, then I myself couldn't be like, I'm a billionaire and I feel like buying Spirit Airlines for shits and giggles. I couldn't do that if we were obligated to operate under the co-op.
Okay, so push Nanfan a little bit. So would you argue that under your definition of socialism, that a corporation is socialism?
I wouldn't. So, like I said earlier, I don't think there's a single all-encompassing definition of socialism or like a single acceptable definition of socialism. But I would not say a corporation in and of itself is socialist. I would say though that a worker co-op is to some degree socialist.
So why is a corporation not socialist? It's social distribution of the ownership of the company.
It is owned.
It's owned by the people.
It's owned by the people. Like capital holder. No, it's owned by
the people. We've already been over this. It's owned by the people. You get there are many companies that give their workers shares.
I agree, and I think those companies, to the degree that which these firms are like more worker owned or whatever, you could argue they're more socialist. But what socialists typically mean by this stuff, and what I think is like acceptable, is that the workers at the individual firms are the ones making decisions for the individual firm, and that we're gonna
said my name.
People who don't own capital.
I didn't get through with this. That doesn't even work at a corporation. Like at a corporation, the shareholders elect the board. The board maybe interacts with some of the high-level executives once a month or once every 3 months, and the executives are the ones making the decisions. So even in a corporation, the shareholders don't make the real decisions, the day-to-day decisions.
They don't make the day-to-day decisions. That's true, but that would also be true under a worker co-op, right? The workers would not be making the day-to-day decisions.
So
they'd be doing the same thing.
That's why I was pressing so hard on what that actually means.
But those executives can be swayed by the shareholders.
The ownership is with outside shareholders, and those are predominantly people who don't sell their labor for a living. They own capital and collect returns on the capital.
Not. There are so many middle-class people. Like the middle class makes up a huge percentage of the stock market.
What do you consider middle class?
Anybody that invests in a 401k owns stock.
Oh, I like that.
That's true, but the share of assets, and especially the people who actually vote in shareholder meetings and stuff, that is disproportionately owned by people who are only capital holders. And regardless, outside the firm.
They put up the stakes and accept the risks. The worker doesn't. The worker can just move to a new job. Yeah, I know. I'm starting in the position, not you.
Sure.
I don't know. Workers have risk every job they go to.
But see, I'm not seeing this huge distinction between a average person who puts his money in a 401k owning a share of a corporation versus that they have to own the shares of the company that they're working on. What's the distinction?
So it would be two things. One is the outside versus internal ownership of the firm, right? If I own a share in a company, I'm not working at that company, right? My 401k is not invested in companies that I am working at. Socialists typically, or the people who argue for co-ops specifically, want the ownership to be internal to the firm. The workers at the firm are the ones making decisions about the firm. They don't make decisions about outside
maybe
firms.
Maybe not even workers. It's just if I put money in, right, into the company, I can still invest in it.
Most people who want co-ops would be against that. Or
they want the workers in control. They think that the guy who barely qualifies as a warehouse job at Amazon is somehow able to also steer this multi-trillion-dollar company that works internationally.
Gibbs wants to get out of here, so we'll let Gibbs have his exit.
Yeah, I will say that's not my only. Like, I think that co-ops can be a good capitalist thing. I don't know, like maybe the guy that's the warehouse truck driver, maybe not so much. But say if I like get a co-op and me and like 10 other ranchers got together, there are examples of good co-ops and that manage that idea because hey, we formed like a trust or we all got together and formed a co-op, and then we have more market share to negotiate with. I think that is not socialist. Like I mean, and like that's like using free market now. Could it be have some socialist quality? Sure. I think this is really a key thing that happened all tonight with this debate is the words do mean something, and like people don't like the idea that they have to have some kind of generally agreed upon term because once you get pigeonholed, you're fucked. And they admitted several times in this debate that we pigeonholed them because it's called debate skills. And I got to be honest, TikTok, y'all got to step your game up. This was a skill diff if I've ever seen one. I got to say, I felt like Michael Jordan dropped my nuts on somebody tonight, dunking. And on that note, if you like or love everything I have to say, just go ahead and follow me on Admiral Gibbs everywhere. We do a lot of fun things. We got a lot of exciting stuff. Next Wednesday, we're going to be interviewing somebody that escaped from Venezuela under Chavez. It should be really exciting. It's going to be cool stuff. And she was celebrating dancing in the streets when we bombed his mausoleum. So it'll be good times. So thanks for having me, Sarah, as always. And everybody be good. And hey, my chat, y'all go follow Nonfon since I rated him. He's a good egg. And the rest of y'all, thanks for debating. That'll be good.
Good to see you, Gibbs.
Salute. Have a good one, Brown.
Nobody's safe anymore.
I wanted to come up and give you an example of a co-op and the capitalistic nature of a co-op. Our electric company is a co-op. If you want electric service, you have to pay their cooperative tax or their cooperative, whatever the fuck it is, initiation fee, whatever. Okay. I asked the dumb bitch on the phone, what if I do not want to be a part of your co-op? And she says, well, you just won't get electric service. So even before a deposit, which we didn't have one due to our credit, we still had to pay $150 for them to punch 3 keys and put electric in our name. That's what I had to come up and say. And Clay, he said my name 3 times in his head, so I appeared. I'm like fucking Beetlejuice.
I mean, I think that's just kind of the nature of electricity being a natural monopoly, is that you're never going to kind of have 2 options for electrical companies by nature of the fact that there's only going to be one set of power lines running to your home, right? But I can understand their frustration there or whatever, and I don't think that we should like mandate co-ops or anything. I just think when socialists say like you can have a free market under socialism, whatever, what they're referring to typically is that they want firms to be either they still want firms to be competing with one another on like a marketplace, and they still want prices and stuff like that. They just want the firms to be managed by the workers there, or potentially the firms to some degree owned by a like sovereign wealth fund that doesn't do like direct management of them, at least for like day-to-day stuff.
Well, see, that's what I think is bullshit.
Missing out when you respond to co-ops. That's the part you keep missing when he says co-ops, is that the workers have to own it. In a co-ops you guys are referring to, you buy into the co-op. You're not a worker. The worker's not making the decisions.
Well, let me say this too. You know, YouTube is like a socialist platform, right? And
no,
we are. Can I finish?
Sure.
Sarah is capitalizing off the platform. So if you think about it for just a second, what I'm saying is absolutely true. I am capitalizing off of another platform. They are technically paying me to give them the content. So I'm capitalizing off of it. So and Clay said it the best.
Sorry.
Clay said it the best. Yes. Someone like me, I can't get out of this chair. I would love to get the fuck out of this chair. Yes, a company if I worked for a company and I didn't work for myself, technically, they would give me a menial task or something that I was able to do. So I am agreeing with what Clay said. Unintelligent spin is back now.
So you're saying YouTube is socialist?
It's absolutely
no.
So,
that's not what I'm saying.
You said socialism.
Socialist.
Social. Well, I just said
hold on. Are you talking about the other media group that you're doing content for, or are you talking about YouTube?
I'm talking about all. Let me be clear. Let me clear it up a little bit. I am talking about any social media platform that one may belong to. We are socializing with an audience.
That doesn't make a socialist.
No,
the better steel man of that. The better steel man of that is that everybody in YouTube is a content creator. So you could see that is that they are the ones doing the work that makes YouTube actually work. And therefore they are the workers, and yet they get their cuts out of it too.
Okay,
so that
is exactly what I'm trying to say.
Okay. But here's the problem with that. In socialism, the workers would also, or in communism, the workers would also have say over how the companies ran. Do creators have?
I have a say. I have a say over being the creator. Most socialists would still define like YouTubers and stuff as like laborers. They're selling. You're selling your labor, even though our labor is doing dumb shit online, in order to earn an income, right? It's the owners, like the ownership of YouTube is concentrated in a few given shareholders, right? A few given people, and they're the ones that have all the like ultimate say about the company, and it's like disproportionately well they do. And they aren't selling their labor. They aren't doing like labor. They're owning. They're collecting capital income from simply owning the capital. Like that's how a socialist would view it.
Okay,
I think that like,
there are many creators, non-fun, out there that have many more subs than all of us put together in this panel right now.
Mm-hmm.
They have a say. They're the ones that are generating
ownership on YouTube. You agree with that? They don't have legal ownership of YouTube.
Oh, correct? No, they don't have legal ownership. No, I would never allude to that fact. But you are arguing they don't have a say, but they do.
They don't have a in the same way a shareholder has a say.
Right.
They have the say.
Wait a minute. Say that again, non-fun. I didn't hear you.
Yeah.
They don't have a say again. The shareholder has to say, right? The shareholder can do, if you have a majority share, you own the company, you can do almost anything you want.
I agree with you.
So the YouTubers have a say in the same sense that like Uber drivers have a say over what Uber does, or even like I have a say over like what my local coffee shop does. I can tell people I'm going to take my business elsewhere. I can tell, YouTube, I'm not going to do this anymore or whatever, right? But, that's not really the type of ownership that like socialists talk about when they refer to ownership.
But shareholders don't hold an individual or majority interest in a company.
Not all the time. Some of them do.
They get a vote though.
Right. I mean, when you break it down to the crux of it, yes, they have a vote. But the majority shareholders would pretty much make the decision. Wouldn't you agree?
Sure, but that's not saying that they don't have a say, right? Like our elections, you don't have a say in who gets elected president, but you still vote. Why? Because you have a say.
And also, there are a lot of companies that are either private or have a majority shareholder, right? Like, and even if you're not the majority shareholder, you can still have effective control because the ownership of the rest of the shares are so dispersed that they can't coordinate to do anything, right? Like,
yeah.
I see the semantics behind it. Yes, I do.
Semantics.
It's semantics.
Well, I mean, there's anybody that's worked for a big enough company like the 80-20 rule, the Pareto rule even applies in business where 20% of your customers is 80% of your sales. If one of your top 3 customers said, hey, I want X, more than likely your business is going to try to do X, right? I mean, so
absolutely.
That's exactly the relationship non-fun is trying to say is the same with a large streamer and a platform.
Right.
Oh, okay. I can see the core. I can see the correlation behind it. Yes, I do. Now, I do have a real job, and I work for a publicly traded company. Me as the worker have no say unless I want to quit. That's the only say that I have.
But it's basically the same say that we have over YouTube and stuff, right? Like,
yes, yeah, absolutely. If I don't want to create content or I don't want to go on social media, yeah, I can say to myself, no, I'm not going to do it.
It's the walk away version of the Coconut Island.
Yeah. Well, and so let's continue down this the thought train here. Is it's like anybody that's worked for a company, even at the lowest position, you can go to your manager and say, hey, I think things might be better this way, or I might think things are better that way. Like, you're not going to have individual control over that, but you do have leverage to convince. And everybody would argue that the higher you go up in that food chain, the more leverage you're going to have to get stuff done the way you want.
Leverage or influence, yes.
Right. So
Absolutely.
how is that different than socialism, like a workers' co-op, right? There's still people have
chain of command, right?
Yep. Is that it? Just the chain of command?
I feel like I've explained this or whatever. Wait, I have a
not very well.
Did you ever find out if imports subtract from GDP or not?
I looked at it and it was conflicting.
It was conflicting, really?
Yeah, no, I'll give you credit. Like, the whole point behind gross national product is that it's supposed to say the national product, meaning that they're trying to remove foreign influence. Meaning
imports definitionally are not included.
That I couldn't find complete proof for. Like, I saw some sites were saying. There was one site that said that that imports were included in consumption. There was other that said that it wasn't. So that's why I was saying.
You agree that they're not included by definition. They're excluded from GDP, right? By nature of the fact that the GDP is gross domestic product.
Right. As a sum, that's what they're trying to do.
Okay. So why do you think that imports would deduct from GDP then if they are simply not included in GDP?
Well, because I was thinking it's like the balance of trade. Again, I'm going to have to look at it farther. As I said, I just got as far. I asked you to send sources, you didn't, and I know that you're probably busy at the point, so I'm not blaming you for that. But I tried to do the research as much as possible. I was away for like a half hour, and I had one side that said yes, one side that said no. So I'm willing to look into it further, but I do see your point about trying to deal with domestic product, and therefore the idea is try to exclude imports.
Well, can I ask a question about imports in this sense? Because it sounds like imports are coming in and we're consuming, so that's costing us money.
No,
that's what it sounds like.
Well, just like anything costs you money, right? But that's still included in GDP.
Right. Well, you were talking about that's what I'm asking. So you're saying it's included in GDP now, or is it not? Which one is it?
So if it
I'm saying by nature of you like spending money in it, that doesn't mean that it's either in or not in GDP. That's not what.
That's why he said it's conflicting.
Okay,
Boom.
No. Hold on. I'm going to steal man non-fun. The basic of what he's trying to say, yes, is that if consumption includes imports, then you would need to subtract it out at the other side of the equation in order to only deal with domestic consumption or domestic production. That's the premise here. And so I can understand where the idea is thinking that. I was even digging into the how the United States calculated consumption to try to find out if imports were included or not. I just couldn't find the page.
You don't need to know how specifically the United States is calculating consumption to do it. You just need to know the basic accounting. You agree that definitionally GDP, as a matter of accounting, does not include imports. The net effective imports in GDP is zero because they're simply not included in GDP, correct?
That's the goal, yes.
So are we talking, okay, are we talking about here? Does the U.S. perfectly measure GDP every time and make sure to perfectly, include every?
And that's a no, right? Okay, so that's a no, because what I was seeing was that
there's a difference
definitely
between
a lag. There's definitely a lag here. So what's been happening with actual GDP with the tariffs, it has gone up. And the argument is that there's still a lag because you have inventories.
That's not responsive to what I'm saying. So to be clear, there's two different things. It's not like you could be referring to here. One is whether just in an accounting sense, right? Do imports subtract from GDP? The second is in the real world where we are constrained by exactly what we can measure. Is the GDP estimate for the US always accurate in the sense that if we had all the data, would it turn out that in fact we accidentally estimated consumption to include more than it did because we should have subtracted more from imports or whatever, right? No one is arguing that the actual calculation that the BLS does or BEA does GDP is 100% perfect, but just in an accounting sense, imports don't deduct from GDP. You agree with that?
I think it's more difficult in the accounting sense. I mean, and I think that's that's why I keep saying it's the intended goal. There is an issue again with inventory lag, and so you're not going to get it to match up.
Intended goals. So these are definitions that we made, right? We define GDP to be this. Like, I think it's a useful definition. I think it's a useful construction, but it is just like a human-made definition. It's just human accounting. As a matter of that definition, imports don't deduct from GDP, correct?
I would argue yes. If you're just trying to measure national product, then you shouldn't include anything that's foreign made.
Okay, to be clear, I'm not saying shouldn't. I'm saying as a matter of how we define GDP, it doesn't right now. And to my knowledge, hasn't ever.
It does. It does. No. The way we actually calculate it.
No, that's to calculate. So first of all, not necessarily, because again, C plus S plus T is another way to calculate GDP, right?
So how is C calculated?
What do you mean by that? Do you mean how in the real world do we estimate that, or do you mean?
Yes.
So my understanding is for the real world, we rely on certain surveys that we take by people and certain numbers that we get from that we have public data on. Yeah. For how much households are consuming, business sales, stuff like that. And we use that to try to estimate it essentially. That's different than in the accounting sense though. Because when you say in an ideal world or whatever, this is true, what that applies to me is that you agree definitionally it's true. It's just that sometimes the real world
you're right.
Data,
that's exactly what I'm trying to get at. I agree that the definition is trying to not include imports because that would not be domestic product. I'm just, where I was running into was the issue is that in the reality, it doesn't work out that way for a lot of reasons. Even though, basically the answer is that the model is not as simplistic as I thought it was, and maybe I'm not going to begin to go with it. It's not. The issue you run into again is that when you're calculating each one of the individual values, they're taken at a point in time through what you're saying is like surveys and financial data, and the numbers don't always match up. And there's a lot of reasons for that. It's the same reason why payroll doesn't always line up exactly for any particular company. It's that there's a lot of factors involved and a lot of delay.
Blame that on fraud.
Well, it has more to do with the way that it's reported. From an accounting standpoint, you're supposed to include wages that were earned in the previous year, like in the last week of the month, even if you don't pay them until January, right? So that's an accounting issue where it doesn't perfectly line up. Eventually it gets there, but there's a lag. Fair enough?
It does sound like fraud though. But I do appreciate this right here. This was so entertaining. It was like, this is how nerds fight, guys.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Remember that.
Yeah.
and hey, non-fun, you won the fight, bro.
That's fine. No, that's I'll give you credit. The idea is a minor point, but with the data showing GDP still went up even with all the tariffs going on. In fact, for a given period of time, I think there was even
to be clear, GDP did go down in Q1 2025, probably partly because of the tariffs, right?
Hold on, let's look. 2025?
In
No.
quarter one, 2025, I believe the first quarter GDP was negative 0.5%.
You forgot last year everybody was broke for real, for real.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
Last year, last year was
Also,
everyone.
first quarter, you're not even dealing with Trump's policies yet.
Yeah,
You're still dealing with the tail end of Biden's policies.
We also saw the trade deficit spike a ton in quarter one, 2025. You agree with that, right?
Just a heads up, we'll go for about 15 more minutes and then we'll go ahead and shut down. I have church in the morning, so.
Oh, I'm about to have a husband
you guys
soon.
agree, quarter one, 2025, you also saw the trade deficit increase quite a bit, right?
Quarter 1, 2025, sure.
Okay. Don't you think that's kind of indicative of people predicting that there's going to be tariffs in the future and stockpiling now?
We could do surveys and find out.
Okay, I mean, you can look at surveys about business uncertainty and trade uncertainty during that time, and it was and it's still pretty high, right? So, don't you think what else is the explanation for the sudden increase in the trade deficit quarter one, 2025?
I'd have to look. Maybe it's a historical thing.
It's not.
Okay. I mean, there's the January effect of the stock market.
Probably, but we don't see this in other years or anything.
Okay, I'd like
and
to
quarter
see
one
that.
includes more than January.
Is it okay?
Fred and type
that's fine. It's easy.
balance.
That's fine. And and they could argue whether or not it's seasonally adjusted. If it's seasonally adjusted and it's still higher, then okay.
Regardless, first of all, regardless of if it's seasonally adjusted, which I believe there at least are seasonally adjusted numbers, you would expect to see every year the same variation if it's
right. That's
exactly
my point. That's what.
But you don't see the same variation. You don't see that every year, though.
All right. I don't want to spend the time doing the research, but take your granted. So in one quarter, we had high trade deficits, right? That's the point. And
my point was that he said, oh, quarter one, 2025, you're not dealing with Trump's policies yet. And I said, well, it seems like there was a big increase in the trade deficit during that time, probably indicative of people stockpiling inventories now because they expect tariffs in the future.
Okay.
Seems like seems like that is evidence of Trump's policies affecting things.
Sure. I would have no doubt that happened. I would say that the day he went into office, that people changed the way they did things. But you're doing a univariate analysis on a very large, complex problem. Really?
I don't think that's what I'm doing, dog.
I think that's exactly what you're doing.
I think I'm again using the fact that the trade deficit spiked during the time as evidence of the fact that clearly something else did change, right? It's not.
It's evidence of the fact that the trade deficit increased. Now we'd have to break it down to figure out why. You just did a single variate analysis on.
Clearly, it raises the probability of Trump's policies affecting things. Correct.
It's one factor of many.
Okay, I'm going to repeat that. Do you agree that the fact that the trade deficit increased quite a bit quarter one, 2025 is evidence of Trump's policies affecting things, given that there are many plausible connections there?
I would argue that all of the financial data that came out in quarter one, 2025 was an effect of Trump's policies.
That's not really responsive to my question. Right now, I just want you to concede
that.
It
answered yes, it is. Yes, it is, and it affected a bunch other. What I'm saying is your argument's non-unique.
What do you mean by non-unique?
I would just say this
affected a bunch of other things.
You guys know how rubber band works, right?
I agree, but clearly the fact that this anomalous event happened at the time you would expect it to is evidence. I'm not saying conclusive or it's not also affected by other things.
Okay, whatever.
That's just a correlation.
Right?
It's not evidence.
Awesome. Okay, good.
Correlations are evidence, right?
No, they're not.
Clearly, yes,
do you remember what happened in 2024? Because do you know how rubber band works?
Just to be clear.
Some cards are yellow.
So correlation does not always imply causation. That much is true, right? People can repeat that all the time. And if you want to go through the causally identified evidence, I have difference in different studies. I have synthetic controls. I have a bunch of different studies I can show you about the effects of tariffs, right? And they all are essentially uniformly negative, right? So I can show you the causally identified evidence. But so I can show you the causally identified evidence. But clearly, in most cases, if there's a plausible mechanism, correlation is evidence of causation. It's not proof or anything, but it's evidence. As in, it raises the probability of this thing being true. If I predict that, if I predict that smoking causes cancer, if there is in fact a correlation between the amount that someone smokes and cancer rates, that is evidence of my claim being true. It's not conclusive, but it is evidence.
Fair
enough.
They could be doing a lot of other things that cause them cancer.
It doesn't
I agree.
It is not evidence, but it does justify asking.
It is evidence.
Question.
How is it not evidence?
No, it's just a really good excuse. I'll give you that. It's a really good excuse.
Because you still have to actually tie it to it somehow being causal to the thing, to the evidence of the thing.
No,
just breathing air can give you cancer.
In order for it to be evidence, it just has to raise the probability of the model being true. Do you think that it raises the probability of the claim smoking causes lung cancer to be true?
Very broad definition, and I would not accept it.
That is the understanding of evidence that I have is some claim or some fact that increases the probability of the claim being true.
You know, you would be a star on Brainstorm. You got to come to my show, bro. Because we speculate. We do. We go into the rabbit hole. Clay, you've been there. We go down that rabbit hole.
Yes. You have some deep dives for sure.
I'm telling you, we can talk about anything over there. It's like kicking it with the homies, spark one up, have a drink.
Lights are bright.
Sarah, I got to interview you.
All you got to do is reach out.
But I just want to, because I'm using the fact that the trade ups that spiked in Q1 2025 is evidence of the fact that Trump's policies were affecting things at that time. And therefore, I think it's the case that Trump's policies could be affecting Q1 GDP in 2025 as well, right? Like that is clear. That's not an unreasonable inference to make.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the policies are going to affect
exactly.
Okay, so now that we agree with that, do we think it's, could plausibly be the case that the tariffs and the uncertainty from the tariffs that led people to delay investment and delay consumption and stockpile instead, that those plausibly contributed to the decline in GDP?
Which executive order is it? Because the only policy decisions he could have made in
there are multiple. Wait, to be clear, is your position that Trump has not imposed large tariffs?
You're just going to talk over me the whole time. Let me finish.
I think you're going to raise an irrelevant point. That's very silly.
It's not irrelevant.
Go ahead, finish.
Let me raise it and then tell me it's irrelevant. How about that? Okay. So the only way that Trump in the first quarter of his term coming into office would have any effect on policy decisions is through his executive order. So your task now is to show how all of these market indicators are directly tied to those executive orders, because it's the only way you can tie that to being Trump's fault.
So Trump in Q1, most of Q1, I believe, was before he did any substantial tariffs. But just to be, so two things. One, do you agree that expectations are affected by the president's statements and the president's actions in the past?
To a point, yeah. There is certainly amount of...
Okay, so do you agree that businesses' expectations could be influenced by the fact that Trump campaigned on doing at least a 10% universal tariffs and the fact that Trump in the past had tariffs on China and other countries?
Okay, wait. Hold on. So
no, I want to answer that. Does he agree that businesses' expectations could be influenced by the president's statements and actions in the past?
Could they be? That's just a probability question. Sure, it's possible.
Sure.
Okay. Do you agree that trade uncertainty and economic uncertainty generally increased after Trump got elected?
It's going to go both ways.
That's the question. That's the question.
It doesn't really go both ways.
So what about Q4 of 2024? Trump was elected. He said these things. Did those impact policy?
Can I make an observation?
Impact policy.
Well, this exact same claim you're making for Q1 2025 is that the things he said,
I think it did.
The things he did.
Yeah, I think it did affect.
I think it was Venezuela.
People knew these things Q4 2024. So did they do the same thing in that quarter?
I think it did. My understanding is that it did. Is that the
we can show that
time? I'm looking.
To quote Tommy Lee in Men in Black, people are dumb, panicky animals, and you know it.
Yeah, I like to source all my movies too, instead of like real academic sources.
I mean, in reality, though, it's true, right? So people, like, if you tell a bunch of people all of a sudden that they're not going to have their baseball game or their football game at the local bar playing because the whatever went out, they're going to be pretty upset. It's just what it is, and people panic over the dumbest shit. So,
but those aren't the people that are investing in stock markets.
Tariffs does affect the way people act. It's the same thing that happened in the flu thing and the toilet paper issue, right? So people got really panicky. They went out bought a bunch of toilet paper, and the toilet paper went up a few bucks. And this is what happens. It's the reality of things.
Okay, so I found like a website in general that displays the chart for the trade policy uncertainty. You can see like it like was basically stable until it looks like basically 2024 when it like started slowly increasing, and then November there was a big spike, and then there was a big spike in January, big spike in March, especially big spike in April, and then it started decreasing again, but it's still elevated.
And what's this again?
Trade policy uncertainty.
What's the metric?
As in, I believe that they are surveying firms about how uncertain they are about the future.
Okay. Do you want to go a year or two back? Were there spikes?
I'm looking at a year or two back. Yeah, there was
spike. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you post
wait. Tell me what spike you're pointing to. What do you say?
I don't. Oh, did you post the thing?
I put it in the chat.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't see it yet. Let me look. I was just going off what you said. Okay, I have it. Site can't be reached. Let me try again.
I will say too, Nafon, I appreciate your statistics when you keep them to the short.
Here we go.
I know that you're a statistic guy, and I've given you shit in the past, but I'm actually enjoying this because you're keeping it to the short. I appreciate that.
All right. Sounds like a good time to shut down.
Yeah.
All right. No,
Sarah.
I that's why I didn't push for like goals or anything like that, because I knew we've been going for over 5 hours anyways, but Sundays I like to be able to get up and go to church with the kids and stuff. So
of course.
The Emperor, number one, I'm so glad to see you again, sir. And number two, if you'd like to give your final thoughts to the panel and tell them where everyone can find you.
All right, guys, this was fun. We got to do this again. All right, you guys got to hit up the brainstorm. It's Monday through Friday at around 6:30, 7 o'clock on the Mountain Time, right? We go deep into it. We get crazy. But Sarah, I started here. Shout out to you, the queen of the panelverse. I deem you. Clay, always fun. Alley Cat, you're very insightful, humble, and you can admit when you're wrong, even though it's hard to say. I like it.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Balderson, salute, sir. All the work you do, you're the guy. Don't ever forget it. Hey, Nanfan, I'm going to need some of those statistics, man, because I'm going to start picking your brain every time I see you. And Ant, always insightful. To the panel and everybody out there, I hope you guys had a good day. Shout out to everybody that went to work and does overtime. The world doesn't move without you. I'm out of here.
Thank you so much. Ant, why don't you go ahead and give us your final thoughts?
I am disappointed. I was hoping to get into getting commies to try and explain why they ignore market signals and scarcity, and we kind of wound up arguing about definitions for several hours. But that was, it's still a lot of fun. But my disappointment is that we didn't get to the topics I wanted, not the panel. The panel was great. I liked all the new faces, and it's good to see them. Anyways, fuck off and get the hell out of here.
Thank you so much. And I'm trying to set up a raid to Gray Pill, but his fucking settings aren't set. Listen, to all of you streamers, when you first kick off and start and all those things, go explore buttons and see what they say. Okay, there's a little checkbox that says like to allow other people to raid me. Click it, for fuck's sake. Click it. Like, you want to help other people out, but you can't if they don't have that one setting turned on. All right. Thank you, Aunt. Clay, to you, please.
So thank you, Sarah. Amazing host, as we all know. And to the panel, you guys were awesome. Thank you, chat. You win again, yet again, always. I just want to touch real quick on Locke, because I know that was one of the big contentions between me and Gibbs. Locke wasn't a socialist. He wasn't a capitalist. He was neither one of those things. He was a philosopher, an old school philosopher too. He really did a great job on, in my opinion, giving us a fair and balanced view of the systems of government. That, coupled with Hobbes and some of these other guys that came after him in their same realm. But particularly, I want to point out, because I know Gibbs was trying to push this issue of capitalism, and I love my capitalist brother, my capitalist American brother, but Locke specifically did not view monopolies as great. He actually, in his philosophy, pointed out that you shouldn't monopolize assets. He also said that you shouldn't allow resources to spoil, and that you ought to leave enough and as good for others. So in no way, none of those points are they capitalist points. He wasn't looking for profit. What he was looking for was a better society. But of course, because he did focus a lot on natural rights, and one of those being property rights, which Gibbs did point out. I love that he points that out, that he recognized the right to your own property. And so he did recognize some good capitalist ideas. And this was a great debate. I think the guys did really good. It was a lot of fun. Got into a little bit of degen, maybe just a teensy weens, but not much. And thank you, Sarah.
Okay, now StreamYard.
Thank you, Clay. Sorry, I'm literally trying to walk Gray Pill through this on his channel so I can set up the rate for him. Alley Cat, take your time too with your closing statements.
Oh, that's fine. You got to get it out.
Yeah, no, we have to take our time so I can walk
This has always been one of my favorite debates. And to be honest, I would rather debate and understand non-fun's view of the way to go. Like, I've seen a lot of the Marxist, socialists, communists, and they're very easy to pick apart. The bigger concern is, what about the whole idea of, the co-op situations? And I still think that there's issues there.
I sent my I'm not necessarily for like mandating co-ops or anything, but I did send my my Discord link in the side chat if
I see it too.
want to join.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, as I said, so, that to me is the more interesting part, because it actually might have traction and teeth. There's a lot of data that goes both ways on whether or not workers that have the vote are actually competent to make the company run better. That's the key thing that needs to be overcome. But that to me is the big discussion about socialism that probably needs to be had in this day and age. Other than that, Clay, as I said, I was trying to help you out. I think you're a wonderful debater when it comes to politics, and it comes to ethics, and it comes to God and whatnot. But I think that was the weakness here. It was just like, you've got like 2 or 3 economists on the panel, and you're throwing words around. It's just like blowing our brain, because it doesn't make any sense. Good, I understand enough of the other parts to be like, oh yeah, I kind of see where he's coming from. But yeah, I mean, I get it. That's your bread and butter, is those tools, and I think that's great. And again, I said it in chat. You need to be a cockroach. God favors cockroaches. But other than that, yeah, you got good insights. And as for the debate itself, again, I thought it was good. I always like to see when the two on the capitalism side get together. They kind of have a really fun time together, and it was good to meet this other side too. This is the first I ever saw of them. So that's my outro, and I'll let you go on with that.
Sorry, so
he's driving us non-fun. Thank you so much, Alley Cat. Non-fun to you, please.
Yeah, first of all, if the rate doesn't work out to him, okay, my settings are right. But anyways, I had fun. I'll probably try to set up my own conversation with the socialist people, because we didn't get to talk to that much on my own channel at some point. So, or Sarah can host it if she wants to, if she needs to. But yeah, I love talking to everyone. I just sent my Discord in the side chat if any of you guys want to come yell at me about free trade or whatever. I'm open to talking about that. And all of the Sarah's lovely viewers can come watch me on YouTube at nonfon, NONFON, and check out a bunch of my old debates about some similar topics. I debated like my last video. It's me talking to YouTuber the Soy Pill about not necessarily capitalism and socialism, but about like labor protection and unions and such. And, I do have a bunch of socialism debates on there. I also stream to Twitch, Kick, and Twitter, nonfon420, and there's a bunch of other, random stuff on my Twitter as well. So love being here. Everyone can go check that out if they they want to.
Thank you so much, Non-Fun. Mr. Balderson, to you, please.
I don't think socialism's the worst system. I think it's just too big for a country of this size. I think it works well in like Hutterites and Amish and things like that. That's fine, but they also have an opportunity to opt out of that and go live in the rest of the country. Good show, guys. I hate shows like this. Fucking political shit, so annoying. Non-fun. There was a cliff dive in 2000. You were disingenuous with that 2008 shit.
Okay, my bad. I don't know.
But it does make a difference, and it does make a difference as you tried to pretend like it was.
I'm not trying to. So just go to. I don't know. What are you looking at for that? Because I'm looking at like industrial production.
Yep.
So if I type in Fred industrial production index,
U.S. manufacturing 2000.
That's not a meaningful.
Nice,
what does that mean?
Real nice.
I have zero clue what I'm looking at right now. Is that manufacturing employment? What is that measuring?
Number of manufacturing employees is red, and number of manufacturing establishments is blue. They both took an absolute nosedive.
Okay, so do you understand my claim was about output?
All right, hang tight, guys. I'm just gonna set up there. He just figured out the button. Thank God you guys actually took as long as possible. Bless all of your hearts. I'm just trying to help you. Like, I'm trying to help.
I got
you.
Well, the talk, Non-Fun, was about U.S. employment and the middle class having good jobs. So, I mean, I'm not sure what the fuck your point would have been about. Yeah, I mean, like, did you channel for a minute?
All right, we are setting up this right now. Listen, everyone in my chat, for fuck's sake, for my sanity, please go over and follow the raid to Gray Pill, because I love him to pieces. I've known Gray Pill since since I began. Okay, so I'm gonna drop the link in the chat so that if you missed the raid, it's also in the chat. If you could all just do one solid support system here for all of our maters here at Mater Nation, and please follow the raid over and go send Gray Pill some love. He's covering the ABBA and Preach issue right now. So it should be good to go. All right. I love all of you. ABBA, I think it was ABBA got a girl knocked up or something, and then she's like talking shit. Yeah. So it should be good.
So it's drama. Okay.
It's drama for sure. All right. I love you. Please follow the raid. Go send Gray Pill all the tomatoes possible and send him all my love. All right. Let's get the fuck out of here. Goodbye.
This video was somewhat informative. That's all I got for today. Until next time, see ya.